Jones, and I'm here to tell you folks, the world has fallen. The fascist globalist overlords, they're implementing the Great Reset. You don't believe me? I've seen the tapes. Watch it, folks. Watch as these pot-bellied Zoomer goblins work with the Illuminati to pit us against each other. I promised I'd be a good boy. I'm a good boy. There's only one cure, folks, and that's liberty. And there's no better channel to find freedom than Fabian Liberty. Anarchy is order. Government is civil war.
You're offensive. Police lives matter?
We're just trying to do school.
What?
You guys have the same sticker as the others.
But this is our space. You're making the space uncomfortable. But you're white.
You're fucking a white male!
What is one way you combat racism? I don't root for white people on the sidewalk.
They want your wallets, they want your guns, they want the wieners off your sons. Democrats.
Oh, we should film it.
So let's say, for the sake of argument, that all of the water levels around the world rise by let's say 5 feet. You think that people aren't going to just sell their homes and move?
Just one small problem. Sell their houses to who, Ben? Fucking Aquaman! Vaccine!
Children, they're spreading COVID throughout the population at higher numbers. And people are not entitled to turn themselves into deadly biological weapons by spraying disease-laden aerosols wherever they choose, randomly killing innocent people. This is not freedom, this is homicide, and willful ignorance is no excuse.
What the fuck?
Margin of victory yet. It's really impressive. Though, I'm starting to think he might have had help from the Russians.
Take a breath!
Look at me, I'm a gay dog. I'm so cool, I'm so neat. I'll never have children and I'm sterilized. But the media says I'm totally cool. I'm a gay dog, I'm a gay fish. It's so good, and I think my daddy atrazine.
All right. First things first, Roland. Before we get into it, while we're relaxing and talking, there's no way in hell that I am going to stop this stream to go deal with the fact that Wick, who has shown himself to be a midwit at best on almost every topic, is delving into education CRT. And I'm going to go correct him. He's also somebody that is sure that he's always right no matter what. I doubt he even knows who Paulo Freire is. I doubt that he even understands the difference between critical race theory, critical pedagogy, and critical legal studies and critical theory. No offense, but it would be like talking to a toddler during a tantrum. That is what it would be like to have a conversation about education CRT with Wick.
With Midwick?
I mean, he's mostly nice in his interactions. You know what I mean? You guys pretty much.
That is
That's
Yeah.
an arsenic sweetness, though.
No. I think it's really important that like our audience often sees everybody when I'm debating them and when they're on blood sports panels, right? It's the same thing in the reverse for us, where like a lot of people talk to us and they're like, oh shit, I didn't know that you guys could have like a chill conversation. And it's like, yeah, we do interviews all the time. Like,
Just not every third Tuesday of the month. Like, if you want something chill, don't come by then.
yeah, every third Tuesday of the month for serial killer night. You want to be there for something chill. Oh, I guess he meant time to hop over there. I guess he meant he's literally going to. Is that where my entire audience is harassing Wick tonight?
Yeah, because fuck that. Just come hang out with us instead.
I mean, I don't care. I mean, like, if that's what you guys want to spend your time on, you know what I mean? That's your prerogative, man. I'm just like, Roland's not responding, and then follower Jesus Christ comes in and be like, pro drag time story hour. He has no shame. It's like, is that what we're doing tonight, boys? Oh, shit.
We already, hyped up the big event for tonight.
Yeah, so Brian McWilliams was injured in a freak gasoline fight accident. And by freak gasoline fight accident, I mean, apparently he was wrestling with his son and like got clocked in the face or jaw or something. I didn't see the photo. Mark's seen it. And like part of his face is swollen. So he might show up tonight. Wouldn't surprise me if he's not here.
Which, is unfortunate.
All right, what is the rundown on this witch?
Well,
let me see.
hang on. Don't,
Hold on, I'm answering a DM. Just started. Sorry, I'm probably gonna get a lot of DMs tonight.
You should probably just keep Twitter up on another monitor.
Yeah, I do have it on another monitor. I don't know why I didn't just go there. 1 second. All right, so the structure for tonight, boys, is the first thing we want to do is I'll give you a rundown of my opinion of Karlyn. But my opinion has been formed by a lot of DMs. So what I'm showcasing tonight, I've got a lot more evidence, but I'm going to be honest with you, most of the evidence is just catty bickering between people that are harassing each other. All right. And that's the God's honest truth here. All right. Is, a lot of people on that end that have faced a lot of harassment and lies and bullshit from her will say that she's this monster and that everything she's done is horrible and they've never done anything to her. They've all made snide remarks to some extent. Carrie Smith seems to be like the least involved. To where like she just doesn't want this shit to go on, and she's also the one that's been threatened with violence and been one of the people that have been doxxed by Karlyn. And so I would say if there's any portion of this that's just like fully one-sided, it's the attacks against Carrie. Whereas like, when Deb's attacked, she goes back. When Kieran's attacked, he goes back. When Mike Harlow's attacked, he goes back. And then of course there's a slew of thousands of examples of, someone engaging with her, she not liking the way they engage, her arguing in bad faith, her basically just being an internet troll. Right? So to kind of go over what we're going to do tonight, right? It's kind of all in one format. Let's look at like, this is kind of what we're doing in our goals and everything, but just kind of to, we're going to warm up and get some people in here first, get a crowd, but basically we're going to review her 2 debates. Well, she's got more debates than that, but recently they posted a Porcfest debate. I want to see if out of the context of her YouTube channel if she's able to even present libertarian philosophy. I have a feeling that she doesn't know, like from every interaction I've seen from her, that she doesn't really understand libertarianism at all. At least not from like the Rothbardian tradition or the Hoppian tradition. Like it's very obvious she doesn't understand libertarian philosophy at all. But that doesn't necessarily make someone like bad for the LP, right? If someone's anti-war, anti-woke shit in schools, establishment, wants low taxes, like that doesn't make them my preferred candidate, but that doesn't make them like not a libertarian candidate, right?
All right, fair enough.
So I want to see if she's able to present those ideas and stuff, because I haven't really looked at her debates and stuff. And mostly when she's on her like streams and stuff, she kind of rambles on, she cries, she bitches a lot, she randomly attacks some other people, pulls a victim narrative, and then goes into some weird shit, be it crystals or whatever the fuck it is, right? So we're going to do that. Then we're going to go into old news, which is, things that you'll see her talked about a lot, but that I don't necessarily think fit the goals that we're trying to look into tonight. For example, 12 years ago, she supported her then boyfriend. Other people are claiming friend. I don't care whether or not it's her friend or her boyfriend, who was convicted with helping pedophiles with like their credit card transactions and recoveries and things. She claims he was set up and it was all bullshit. Other people are like, she's a pedo apologist. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I don't have access to all of the information that she has. I don't have access to all of the court documents. I could investigate it more to find out if it's true, but what she did 12 years ago with a friend is really not a concern to me. Now, obviously, it doesn't look good when she's, calling people groomers like I would all the time and things like that. When she has skeletons in her closet, might not be great for like a politician to have that, right? You're not really winning any votes with that, but let's be honest, the LP is such a small percentage. I don't think that that's really kind of the primary concern here. Of course, I'm going to go into, what got her canceled from her second grift into her third grift, which is being a libertarian, which is, her first grift, walk away, second grift, PragerU, third grift being a pretend libertarian. The Hitler went to heaven thing. We'll look at the tweet and we'll talk about that. And then, I want to, in alignment with our goals, kind of go over some of the more kind of obvious and egregious things that really show that this isn't just like individual, this pissed me off here or there, but like shows that like this person is willing to cross the line, harass people, dox people, tell her community that she wants to beat up people and that she'll beat them up if they show up to Porcfest. And then you've got crazy, insane people, that are in your community, like that are on like all kinds of meds and shit. And so that's going to be a thing. So that's kind of the structure for tonight. We'll finish it off with a cheeky little video that was edited by Deb. Deb Philman put it together because, mostly because Casimir asked her, when he spoke to her after the I Hypocrite video, well, have you ever edited anything out of context? And she's like, no, I've never done that. Show me one example that I've ever edited anything out of context. And so it's a funny little video that shows that she 100% did that.
Oh, shit.
One second.
All right.
All right. But I don't even know if anybody's here listening. It's one of those nights. I don't know if Twitch is mad at us or if it's just it's a Thursday night, so nobody wants to be here.
Maybe it's because it's a Russian name.
You think that might do it?
It'd be interesting.
It's hard to figure out like what things like trigger the fucking algorithm to like hide your streams. But we are going to, hold on. All right, and then let me check the DM again. Okay. All right. So, I don't really know. Was there anything in podcast we wanted to get into while we were still waiting for people to show up?
I mean, would you like to talk about Chinese sewer oil?
Why would I want to talk about Chinese sewer oil?
I think it's fascinating to know that in a lot of Chinese cities they take sewage oil and boil it until they get all the oil out of it and not the contaminants, and then like fry up their food in that oil.
Interesting. I've disconnected from the chat room 3 times on OBS. Like the chat, I'm getting DC'd from the chat over and over again.
Interesting.
I don't know.
It hasn't moved for me in a while.
Okay, fair enough.
In 10 minutes, nobody's said anything.
That's so weird. Okay, yeah, I got that. Maybe Carolyn's a Fed. I don't know. It doesn't. Let me check. I mean, I don't know if Twitch is hiding the stream. I mean, it happens sometimes.
Or it might just be a Thursday.
Yeah. No, it's not hidden to me. Brant's at 32. Heem's at 41. Lonerbox 126. I don't know. Just sometimes you have these weird moments. It might be because we're engaged in fucking drama.
And we really didn't build up a community around drama.
we really did a community against anti-drama. We do about once every 6 months. You're just here for the drama? All right, so I kind of figured something like this might happen. It might take a while to get everybody in here, which is why, you know, we're not... Here we go. People are coming in finally. That'll work. All right, so we are going to start with our goals. Let me put lo-fi on real quick. What are the goals for this stream? And, you know, moving forward from this stream. Obviously, I have no delusions of grandeur that I'm like this giant figure in the LP. Like, yeah, we've interviewed quite a few famous people in the LP, but, you know, we might be the biggest libertarians in Twitch politics. But, you know, neither of those things are really saying much. Yo, are you really just going to spam
that
shit?
One, there was a violation. Personally, I wouldn't have it.
Okay, so the goals for tonight and the goals moving forward as we talk to more and more people, because this is likely putting a target on our back, right? This person claims that she's ready to sue people for harassment for the sheer fact of, you know, disagreeing with her. And, you know, I'm sorry, harassing her, you know, which I think once you look at the context of most of these things, you'll find it's the pot calling the kettle black, but
usually is.
We're putting ourselves in the crosshairs. Maybe she ignores it and it goes away, and, you know, hey, more power to her on that. I'm cool with that. I just want other libertarians to see this and, you know, fight back against this. So number one, first goal is to ensure that the Libertarian Party is focusing on state actors and state violence and not tearing down the movement. And you might ask me, isn't that exactly what you're doing by going after Karlyn Borysenko? Shouldn't you just... Isn't debating Hunter Avallone a crime in itself? I've done it before on a panel. Then he blocked me when he brought it up 6 months later because he's still mad I called him a grifter. But yeah, people might ask, isn't that what you're doing right now? And the reason I would say no is because we're trying to keep the Libertarian Party clean. We're trying to keep the LP focused on the issues. And this person is driving a wedge into so many paleo-libertarian spaces. This person specifically is, and their behavior online and their behavior on YouTube and on Twitter, and, you know, I don't know her personal behavior for the most part. A lot of people are saying, you know, that it is. You didn't call him a grifter, you called him out for grifting. Well, same difference. This person is engaging in in defamation and harassment against anybody, it seems, that disagrees with her. I mean, I spoke with her once, and before, you know, I wanted to go into all this, I wanted her side of the story. I was like, hey, like, she reposted that I'm an overbearing parent clip from Deb Philman. I was like, why are we doing this to people in the liberty movement? And then she argues that she's not in the liberty movement, that she doesn't give a fuck, and she's fake woke, or that she's actually woke, and like just says wild shit. And then I was like, well, I mean, like, I don't think this is a good resource for us to be doing. Right. And the first thing she does is go to my highlights instead of my like recent broadcasts, go to my recent highlights, clip a photo of that where like highlights that like nobody watches like recent highlights. Like that's just not how that works. Right. You go on any person's channel, they have very low views or no views. And then she goes, let's be honest, no one's seen your content. And then goes through like a month-old tweet, clips it, takes a screen cap out of context, and tries to say that I'm stealing Jeremy Kauffman's campaign ad and claiming credit for it, which I wasn't doing at all. People don't even watch highlights. Yeah. So like the first interaction that I have with her, she has no idea who I am. And I'm just asking, like, why are we attacking fellow libertarians? Like, shouldn't we be focused on something else? Is to pivot, gaslight, lie about Deborah, and then defame me, accuse me of stealing people's content because in a tweet I linked his content because it was relevant to what was being talked about and said, hey, we also interviewed him. And if you click the video, it gives views to him. It wasn't a re-upload or anything. And that was like the first interaction I had with her. And she has a parody account, or other people have a parody account of her, with like almost 2,000 followers. That is just people being harassed and attacked and argued in bad faith by her. Mostly libertarians or like right-wingers that are anti-woke. She's driving a massive wedge of people between what should be a paleo-libertarian faction and libertarians, whilst not appearing to be libertarian at all in her principles. So the second goal is, of course, to illustrate the issue, right? To bring this issue to light, that like this, the LPNH and the LP being connected to this is not fucking good, as I just described. The third is that I think, as many others do, that we should demand an apology from Karlyn Borysenko to Kieran White, Mike Harlow, Carrie Smith, Deb Philman, to Bot, one of her own people, that she is allowing to go on fucking unhinged harassment campaigns and giving her personal information, including Kieran White's phone number, knowing that this person is admittedly suicidal and obsessive and apparently like may or may not, you know, claims to have some schizophrenic issues, etc. And to Carolyn's community and to the Libertarian Party, the FSP, and the Libertarian Party in New Hampshire. Like, she needs to make a mass apology to everybody saying, look, I've been ridiculous. I've been unhinged and unfocused in the way that I've attacked everybody. I've been going through some shit, whatever it is. Like, I promised to focus on liberty and not drive this wedge between other people. The second one is she needs to retract her threats, which is she's threatening to sue all of these people. She's threatening, violence against Carrie Smith if she were to show up at Porcfest. She's giving out doxing information, giving out Kieran White's passport photo, giving out his email address and his phone number, doxing Carrie Smith's home and photo. I mean, it's not really doxing actually, because technically her husband had an account where they were doing remodeling, and with that she then took those photos. I don't know this one for sure. People are saying it's a sock account, or maybe it's someone from her community. So I'll give her the benefit of the doubt that she's not posting their family home live and things like that. But she is attacking Carrie Smith's pastor and not attacking him, going after her pastor in an attempt to get her to turn on on Carrie Smith. She's literally going to people's churches online and their church leadership, hoping to get her kicked out of her own church.
That's some fucking crazy shit.
Yeah, that's like some like key your car crazy shit, right? Like that's not like normal. I'm angry, so I spout angry shit and like kind of slander and just make up shit like because I'm angry. Like that's cool, calculating, narcissistic, abusive behavior. Like that's the type of behavior that comes from a dangerous person with mental issues that needs to be like, you need to keep your eye on because they're likely to abuse.
That's scary. And this is who's running as New Hampshire's gubernatorial candidate? That's what she said?
Yes, she's running for the flagship state's gubernatorial. She's the gubernatorial candidate for the flagship state. She basically has the most sought after governor candidacy in the LP in America, right? Like New Hampshire's the place to run for governor. That is liberty, the ability to allow people to judge for themselves. Absolutely. She absolutely has the freedom to slander and defame and dox and harass. Now, threats of violence, it starts to get into a weird space in terms of natural law, whether or not that makes her a criminal. I would say she has a right to do most of those things. I think she has a right to do all of these things. That being said, I can make moral prescriptions about how shitty they are, and I can make prescriptions about how horrible this is for the LP, and I can talk about how this is damaging to the liberty movement to have a what appears to be a narcissistic, toxic, abusive fucking monster on the prowl, doing everything she can, threatening to use the state's power against other people and her own resources and money to try and shut down people's speech. I think that's a problem. It's a real big problem.
I mean, I'm not thrilled with it.
And the last goal is, if 3 and 4 cannot be met, demand her resignation from the gubernatorial position in New Hampshire. Like if she can't apologize and retract her threats, say, I don't know, I'm sorry for doxing people. I'm sorry for lying. I'm sorry for harassing. I'm sorry for going after people's pastor to try and get them kicked out of church. If she can't make an apology and say that she's going through some shit and she got carried away and move forward with better behavior, then she needs to resign. She shouldn't be representing the LP. For that behavior alone, we're about to view her debates and see if she's better, at least in her policy prescriptions. If she's at the very, because philosophically, from everything I've seen thus far, she doesn't even know libertarian philosophy, much less like represent it.
I've never heard her debate, so this will be interesting to find out.
Right, but I haven't heard her debate. I've just heard her, seen her bitch on Twitter. So, it could be a form of rhetoric for her to intentionally act dumb. I don't know.
I guess we'll find out here in a minute.
Yeah, I don't know. So, Karlyn Borysenko represents a character of online edgelords who do not focus on the core values and issues of the Libertarian Party, beyond attacking statism, political violence, and those who would promulgate said violence. Am I not doing the same thing she is by trying to attack her? So I'm not doxing her. I'm not making violent threats against her. I'm not telling my audience that if she shows up to an event, I'm going to attack her. I'm not telling her, I'm not reviewing any of her footage and saying that her problem is she just needs to be tied down and dominated because she has sexual dysfunctions. And then if she was just dominated about 30 times, that it would finally fix her brain. I'm not telling her that her husband left her because she's a control freak and a piece of shit. I'm just looking at her behavior and saying why this doesn't represent the Libertarian Party. Little bits, I'm answering that question even though I know that you're a troll. But I feel like it's, a fair question that other libertarians might actually ask. And so, yeah, this is about making sure that the LP represents us and is successful in the liberty movement, and not having toxic fucking people that are viciously attacking others that dissent from them and driving a wedge between all of these different audiences that are objectivists and paleo libertarian and like walk away Democrats, like all of these people that like should be the group we're focusing on bringing into the LP.
Or, theoretically, we should be focusing on bringing in.
Right, but instead she's attacking them and by nature driving away their audiences. This is not good. This is not good for the liberty movement. It's not good for the party. It's not good for anybody. It's not even good for Karlyn Borysenko to be this fucking toxic and drama filled, chasing, I don't know what she's chasing. I don't know if she's chasing views, chasing clout, chasing narcissistic supply.
That dragon, who knows?
I mean, she doesn't seem to be like really on drugs to me, at least in most of her things, to be fair.
You know what?
My best guess is she appears to me to be just a fucking narcissist, but I'm not a fucking hashtag not a doctor.
I'm not an expert on anything.
Oh, I mean, or is this all a part of her tactic? Is this just what she believes? Does she simply believe this? Which is, in the Libertarian Party, psychological fuckery is a virtue. Does she just believe that you should... thanks, Freda Bob. Does she just believe that you should viciously attack people and you should psychologically manipulate people and that you should just engage in narcissistic and toxic behavior and that that's actually a good thing and a virtue and makes her a moral person to do that? Or is she just fucking memeing here? Is she just fucking like being cheeky? I don't fucking know with this.
Also, does Todd realize he could have saved a character if he'd spelled hobby correctly?
Karlyn admitted she studied psychology just to fuck with people mentally. I mean, yes, she admitted that. A lot of people get into psychology for weird reasons. She also was a rabid leftist back then. You know what I mean? She and then did the whole walkaway thing under Trump, and then got kicked out of walkaway, and then went to PragerU, and then got kicked out of PragerU, and then got welcomed with open arms to the LP. This person that has been toxic to every fucking movement she's been in. What could go wrong?
We can fix her. Is that the thought process?
Yeah. And a little bit, that's fair too, right? Because Jeremy Kauffman believes that like being spicy and being wild is like a great way to get attention. The problem is that you're supposed to be spicy. appreciate the gifted sub. You're supposed to be spicy against the state. You're supposed to be spicy against state violence and state actors. And like, you're supposed to be spicy against those that would use that violence against you. Karlyn is that person. She's ready to like use the state in defamation suits and wants to go after people and, filed a criminal report supposedly in the UK and apparently maybe, I don't know, because she's never produced the receipts. So it's only he said, she said, but other people are claiming she got laughed out of the police station because you can't file a fucking claim on someone else's behalf for like mean tweets. Like that's not how that works. Even in the fucking UK, she didn't meet their standard. You know, that place where they're literally going after old war veterans for putting up like fucking pride Nazi flag symbol thing and memeing on the LGBT. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that attacking fellow travelers in the anti-woke space because they challenge your assertions or because you have slight disagreements or because you have drama is not the way towards that. That's not ginning up drama for attention. That's ginning up drama for drama's sake. That's not helpful to the party. So Looks like it's going to take a while before people get off work or whatever. I don't know what the fuck it is about Thursdays. They're always rough. But we're going to start with recently uploaded debate.
I'd like to start off by
that is going to be the first piece of content tonight. I want to hear her words, right? I mean, and obviously I'm going to give my critique. I'm not just going to like give this to you unfiltered, but I want to see what she has to say, what her positions are and things like that first, before we like really dig into like other things that she said and done. Because I think it's more fair to, I don't know, try and represent her ideas and critique them, as she puts them in a debate format, as opposed to as she puts them in Twitter and YouTube drama videos. Because maybe she's just a giant fucking troll. And if she is just a giant fucking troll, she's doing it in such a way that I've heard from a ton of people that it's driving them away. I think it's called steel manning. It's not exactly steel manning. Steel manning would be like just letting her words and her clips be out there, because I'm gonna critique them in a moment where I can pause and she can't, right? So it's not really steel manning, but I do think it's important that like at the least we all have a chance to hear her positions, not in Twitter drama or in YouTube drama shit, but like in the form of debates, right?
We're a little more neutral.
Yeah. So we're gonna speed this up. This is her debating at Porcfest. Which party should get the New Hampshire Liberty vote?
Introducing our two debaters, we have Karlyn Borysenko.
Oh, that's really quiet. Let me get that audio up.
Candidate for governor, and Karen Testerman, who is one of the Republican candidates for governor. So,
leave it
by way of
to the
background.
LP to not have good audio.
Yeah, dude, the LP always has shit audio.
God, if they
Karen
would
is
just
a Liberty
hire us, we could get the audio situation so much better.
Literally, I could do better audio, and that's fucking pathetic. Because my audio's shit.
Republican.
It'd be excellent if you had a better microphone.
That is true.
Gubernatorial candidate. She holds strong values and individual liberties. Karen is pro-life, pro-family, and pro-parents as primary stakeholders, pro-medical freedom, pro-liberty, pro-constitution, pro-Second Amendment, pro-school choice. Karen is against mask and vaccine mandates and believes in is for you to make your own decisions. Get government out of the way of business. The government role is protecting your rights, not granting them. Stand up for individual liberty and federal intrusion. Stand up against liberty, federal intrusion. Support Karen Testerman for New Hampshire governor. And if you look in the handout, you'll see her website. Now I have to find Karlyn. Forgive me. Should have had this on a piece of paper.
Yeah, you should have been prepped before you did the debate. But that being said, every single one of those positions is a position I think we both can agree with. Except for maybe school choice, because school choice comes with some weird strings sometimes. You know, we have to be leery of what school choice looks like, lest the cure be worse than the disease.
Yeah, I mean, look, all the positions are well and good and all that, but I just don't trust anyone running for political office. Even Libertarian Party members, I don't trust them. Not a one. Because I think we've been duped enough times by people claiming they're going to do things, support certain causes, and then it doesn't really fit my politics now. Like, that's going to lower my approval rating. We can't have that. You know, you hired me to do something and I didn't, but...
Hey, can you do a quick audio check for me real quick?
Check.
Okay, let me look at something. Now do it again.
Testing mic 1, 2, 3.
There we go. Somehow I ended up combining my my audio from onto one virtual audio cable instead of split. I was like, I can't. Yeah. Discord was having some issues here. Hey, Stardust Crusaders. So for those just coming in, we're engaging in cancel culture, I guess. I don't fucking know. We're highlighting the severe issues with Karlyn Borysenko. But before we really get into that, and her harassment, her doxing, her threats, her selectively edited clips of people that she claims she doesn't do, her titling of videos, her admitted insanity, her, doxing of people's emails and phone addresses, her creating fraudulent GoFundMes as a means of trying to accuse her haters of things and doctoring documents to make them look worse. Before we get into all of that shit, and some of her older stuff that is, disturbing, but not necessarily worthy of too much consideration. But that, I don't know, that Hitler went to heaven thing is pretty wild. But I mean, it's pretty anti-libertarian because libertarian philosophy is based in free will and human action. So it's the most antithetical thing to libertarian philosophy 101. But sorry, I'm sick. I don't have any witty comebacks. Fair enough. But before we do all that, we're getting into her debate at Porcfest, and then her debate with Hunter Avallone, because I want her to be able to, like, at least, because she's not going to fucking talk to me. So at the very least, like, represent her values in the most positive light that I can and critique them that way first.
Oh, this is going to take us a while. This is an hour and a half.
Yeah, Mark, the whole stream is Karlyn. It's a whole drama stream.
I just meant like this specific video is going to take us a while.
The Hunter Avallone one is also a half hour.
All right, then.
It's 2 hours of stuff.
What would we do without technology, right?
Karlyn Borysenko
It may not
is the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire nominee for governor. As governor, Karlyn will sign an executive order requiring cameras in every public school classroom in the state so that parents can...
Yeah, this is a weird thing that she's accusing other people of stealing the idea from. I don't know who the fuck wants this idea. Apparently, there's a section in here where, like, she explains it in better way. But right off the bat, it sounds like the dumbest shit ever. Yeah, I mean, presumably the idea behind cameras in classrooms is that, like, parents have the ability to see what is going on in the classroom at all times, so that you don't have to, like, have, like, secret cameras and things like that to, like, see the woke shit they're teaching in schools. Good idea. Also, kind of don't like the idea of my children having fucking live feeds on them in school at all times that the state has access to. Seems like a weird solution to the issue. And an expensive one, too, I might add.
Yeah, I don't imagine it's cheap running all that new cable and drilling through all that cinder block.
Or the camera equipment. Yeah, it's just it seems like a really dumb way to try and solve the problem. But I mean, fuck, I don't know. I mean, it might be worth a shot, might be worth a try. It's not the worst thing I've ever heard of, but it does suss me out that the government's going to have fucking, access to cameras and stuff like that. My high school already has a camera in every classroom. Well, that sucks. Let's continue.
Monitor what their children are taught. We'll defund every state-funded program with equity in the title, and we'll work with the legislature to make the property tax optional to accelerate the defunding of government education and make homeschooling more attainable for parents. And if you look at the handout, you'll see where her website is. Before we get started,
that's all she's talking about is just education?
Well, it's a powerful platform. Let's see if it holds up.
Yeah.
There are many people here this year who are not from New Hampshire. I wanted to give you a little bit of background about the inside baseball side of what politics is in New Hampshire. Earlier this year, I saw somebody post in one of the many social media groups that New Hampshire was the ideal libertarian environment. I replied that, well, I don't know what you were smoking when you wrote that, but whatever it is, it's illegal in New Hampshire, so we haven't actually attained the libertarian Elysian fields. You're all probably familiar with what has transpired over the last year or two with the Mises Caucus within the Libertarian Party, and Karlyn was a key figure in bringing that about. You may not be as aware of what's been going on in the GOP.
Which is just insane to me, but...
GOP side. I know when I first moved here 2 years ago, I was really impressed because I came from New York State, and the first thing that I noticed was that Governor Sununu had not sexually molested anybody or killed anybody. And those are the kind of numbers I like to see in a chief executive, given where I was coming from. Since then, of course, he's taken a number of actions which are entirely tyrannical. There's a reason for that sign down there. And so what has come up as a real grassroots organization is known as The Resolve, who are trying to bring to the table real grassroots candidates, and they're doing this with a tremendous political ground game. And I believe later this month there'll be another debate. Among
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to get too deep into the cameras in classrooms because, like, I saw that she posted like a 3.5 minute like video for where she talked about it. So I know that it's gonna be brought up in the debate later. And so, like, before I just go on a tirade shitting on something that, like, I admit might in part be a good idea, it's just I seem to be against it. I want to hear more argumentation from it. How much is that shit gonna cost? Where's that money gonna fucking come from? You know, what does it mean? Like, do parents really have unfettered access? Does the state have unfettered access? Is that access public? Like, what kind of limitations and what kind of things come with that? You know what I mean? Like, it's not something I necessarily would be against an experiment on, but I have a lot of causes for concern.
I think that's fair.
amongst several of the other candidates for governor. So with that, let me just get the ground rules out. This is kind of a pseudo Oxford Union debate. We're not debating a specific question. So each side, starting with Karlyn, will get 15 minutes to present their opinion. This will be followed by 7.5 minutes for each to do a rebuttal.
Oh God, what did I miss? Long story short, Karlyn Borysenko is a harassing, doxing, sexually harassing, possibly, violent threats against others, cry bully to the extreme, and we're going to show some of the receipts, not all of the receipts, but some of the receipts that I think are some important ones to put out there. You know, always keep a few in your back pocket. But before we do that, we want to be as fair as we can to her. And so this is the most recent debate from Porcfest, and we are going to critique what it is that she says when she is saying her libertarian positions in the most positive light, though it is going to be difficult for me to be fair. I'm going to attempt to be fair because I see this person as a monster.
We'll have a 5-minute wrap-up, after which we'll open the floor to questions from all of you guys. The way the questioning will work is you get to ask one question to either of our participants here, and the one who wasn't asked the question gets to respond to your response to the question. So with that being said, let's get started.
All right. Cool. So just go right into it? You can tell I'm exceptionally prepared for this debate. Excellent. All right, guys, my name is Karlyn Borysenko. I am the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire nominee for governor. Regardless of what you might hear from other pseudo-libertarians in the state, I am the only endorsed libertarian candidate for governor in the state. And, you know, I was a little bit hesitant to take on this role for a couple of reasons. Number one, well, I'm not going to win. Let's just be honest about that. I'm not going to win. But I do think it's important that libertarians...
I kind of appreciate her honesty on that. As much as, you know, I hate this bitch and she's fucking scum, but I do appreciate her honesty here, right? Because I don't know if it's just me, but I get really sick of LP candidates being like, do you think you can win? Well, I wouldn't be running if I didn't think I was going to win. It's like, dog, you know, you're not going to fucking win. You know that it's going to take like some astronomical event in the next 6 months for polling, where you're polling at 1% or 2% to like magically get like the 33 or 35% that's required to fucking win.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to say you're not going to win, but you definitely shouldn't act delusional and say, no, I'm in this fight for the victory and we're going to get that dub. It's like, we're not.
Right. You know what I mean? And I agree with MRH. Like, it's probably not a good idea to say, let's be honest, I'm not going to win. Right. But like, you know, I appreciate that more than the people that like act like they're going to fucking win. It's like, dog, everyone here knows you're not going to win. You don't have to sell it that way. You can sell a message of hope, but you know, but also, yeah, don't push away votes. Winning is getting 1%. No. I mean, I think winning is getting like 8%, like, or 6% for an LP candidate. Like that's a win.
I mean, anything better than the year before is some level of a victory, but I think we'll know we're winning when we hit 10.
Right. I mean, yeah, but see, here's the deal is like, the LP in New Hampshire is, you know, pushing the Republican Party. You can tell from legislator that's passed, libertarian, right? And so, you know, the higher percentage of vote you get, the more both parties realize that they have to speak to your group, right? So if the libertarian's gone and it's just a Republican and a Democrat and it comes down to 48 to 52, right? There's a 2% difference. But if an LP candidate wins 8% of the vote, right? And now all of a sudden one person has 46%, right? And what's that leave? Another 46%, 46, 46, 8? Yeah, 46, 46. So one person has 47% and one person has 45% and we have 8%, right? They know that come next election or whatever is going on, they got to tailor to that 8% because it's probably easier to get libertarians to vote Republican or Democrat than it is to get Republicans to vote Democrat or Democrats to vote Republican the way it is these days. Maybe not people like us, staunch libertarians that are based in libertarian philosophy, but I'll give it
only real libertarians.
So Donald Rainwater was the LP governor candidate that won in Indiana with 11% of votes. Yeah.
Offer a choice to the two-party system that we have in front of us right now, mostly because Chris Sununu has been an awful rhino governor that has supported the Democrats at almost every single turn when he had the opportunity to. When I first, I've lived in New Hampshire for 11 years, but I haven't really been politically active up until the last couple of years. And when I first, kind of started paying attention, I thought Chris Sununu and Republicans, not all that bad, and there are wonderful Republicans. I think that Karen is a
What did she mean by only been politically active in the last couple of years? Like, do you mean when you started with the Walk Away campaign? Do you mean when you were with PragerU, or do you mean now that you're an LP person?
Yeah, it's really hard to know.
I mean, I know that's uncharitable, but whatever.
Paying attention, I thought Chris Sununu and Republicans, not all that bad, and there are wonderful Republicans. I think that Karen is a wonderful, wonderful option for governor, and if she were to get the Republican, nomination, she might get my vote for that role, if I wasn't running, of course. But I think that the reason that it is important to provide a third option in this scenario is that we look at rhinos like Chris Sununu, and they have, the first run-in I had with him was I was working with the New Hampshire GOP last year on the anti-critical race theory bill for schools, the divisive concepts bill. In the state of New Hampshire, we were actually the very first state in the country to introduce a bill on a state level to prohibit the teaching of critical race theory and
I mean, I guess that's an ideological, like that's a symbolic victory, right? Because like you don't get rid of CRT by banning it in schools. You know what I mean? Like the only way you get rid of CRT is by getting rid of these schools at this point. I mean, it might be enough to have like an entire like shift in the culture and in all of the institutions, but they just change the name and move it into different shit. Now it's not CRT, it's transformative social emotional learning, right? Except the transformative part will be a secret that only the teachers know about. Like at the end of the day, this shit's not getting out of schools without some other type of actual action. Like, committed parents can stem the tide to a certain extent, but the fact of the matter is that all of your teachers are becoming trained Marxists because they're all taught in academia under the philosophy of critical pedagogy. Like they're already fucking activists in the classroom. It doesn't matter what the law or the school board says. If they work against them, then that's just more proof that they need to be doing it, because that's more proof of this being a systemic issue. Like what you need to do is you need to pull your kids out of schools. You need to homeschool, which to be fair, she does support like reducing regulation and making it easier to homeschool and things like that. School choice is a viable option, but again, I'm with Deb Thillman in some regards that like I do worry about the strings that might be attached to it, though ultimately I think it's still probably better than nothing. If I had to be honest, right? Like at the end of the day, if it comes with additional strings, that sucks. But being able to pull your kids out of a particularly woke school or a particularly shitty school to a better school or a less woke school is probably an improvement on the situation.
Yeah, I mean, we're Fabian Liberty. Any step in the right direction is a nice thing to do.
Right.
We're all for steps in the right direction.
But I mean, look at Texas. Texas has education dollars, and they have some of the worst public education in America. Now, granted, they also have that's hard to tell what's going on there because a large portion of their population, their parents don't speak English. So all of a sudden that makes educating your population more difficult because they start way behind in their language skills and it's much more difficult to teach reading and writing comprehension and language skills. And once you start off really behind on that, it can be difficult to teach math, and then you're behind on math, and et cetera, et cetera. So
divisive racist concepts in schools. I was extremely excited about that. I thought that was absolutely the direction we needed to go in. I've spent the last 2 years of my life fighting back against the indoctrination that's been going on in the public schools, and so New Hampshire was at the forefront of this. Well, what happened was that Chris Sununu and the Republican Party pretty much destroyed and watered down that bill.
Yeah.
And he did it to pander to the Democrats. And this is the #1 reason why I do not believe that we should trust Republicans in this office any longer. This bill was beautiful, the way it was written in the House of Representatives. It was beautiful. It covered all of the bases to actually prevent the teaching of critical race theory in the classroom. When it got to the state Senate, Chris Sununu worked with his Republican cronies, John Formello and State Senator Jeb Bradley, to water down the bill and to take out a key provision that absolutely still leads to critical race theory being taught in New Hampshire schools today. They took out one important provision, which is that teachers cannot teach that America is a fundamentally racist country. They took that out of the bill. That is the way that they're teaching critical race theory in the classroom.
it doesn't matter. I mean, like, yes, I mean, obviously that teaches CRT and it makes it easier. But again, it's historical analysis as a form of praxis within critical pedagogy and within, critical theory and neo-Marxian philosophy. Yeah, historical analysis is an important part. And so being able to say that is, banning that per se is a dub, but they'll just teach it in other more subversive ways. The left uses and manipulates language in such a degree, and it doesn't do anything to deal with TSEL. And it doesn't do it
dangerous.
And it doesn't do anything to do with the way math questions are chosen, right? Like the subvert, like when you look at like Paulo Freire and like the idea of like creating race consciousness, right? It's not just about like a lesson plan on CRT. It's about slipping in, class or race or gender consciousness into kind of like irrelevant things to like warm and soft the idea of language. When you're in a math class and you're like talking about slave auctions and things like that, well, that's not teaching that America is a fundamentally racist, country, right? But it is instantiating that very idea into children at a young age. So like the issue here is that like dealing at the school level is a Band-Aid, right? The issue is that public education exists, and the issue is that academia is infested with these ideologies that are teaching the teachers. The teachers come out activists. It doesn't matter what weird things you do, they'll find loopholes. But I mean, like, I respect the effort, you know what I mean? I respect the symbolic victories in the culture war, I don't want to do like an over the top, consequentialist analysis that like the symbolic of victory that is hollow potentially leads to less people focusing on the problem, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to do all that, but I do want to recognize that it's not really addressing the problem. It's just addressing the name.
I mean, it is a visible sign that like a lot of people aren't interested in it being taught. So there is some level of victory there.
Yeah, it's a Pyrrhic victory and it's a symbolic victory.
Are able to teach that America is a fundamentally racist country. You are able to teach the 1619 Project as part of the curriculum, and yes, they are doing that in New Hampshire. You are able to teach equity instead of equality, which equity is a fundamentally Marxist concept that leads to equality of outcomes rather than equality of opportunities.
Well, if you were a real libertarian, no offense, Karlyn, even though I still think you're a piece of shit and I hate you, and this is all about hating you. If you were a real libertarian, like, you would understand that equality is a myth. Equality is a bullshit concept made up by individuals that like this idea of equality opportunity. Equality of opportunity is just as pernicious as equality of outcome. They are one in the same coin. Equity is just the natural the natural evolution of equality of opportunity. Both of these ideas lead to the same place. Yes, Marxian philosophy deals with equity. And yes, the dialectic is often used from a lens of looking at things as equity, right? In different outcomes, and then the assumption of stand ground or standpoint epistemology and historical analysis. We're going to use these and use the inequities as proof, right? We're going to strive towards these things. Like, yes, equity is a big problem, but like equality is a big problem too. Like, there's no such thing as equality. We're not fucking equal. And we don't have equal opportunities, and we don't want equal opportunities, because equal opportunities requires that the state takes and kidnaps your children, and parents aren't allowed to raise children. It means that the government has to issue children's fathers, because it's an unequal opportunity. If you have a good home, wealth is an unequal opportunity. The ability to go to a better private school is an unequal opportunity. All of these things are inequalities of opportunity, and they're good things. They're because individuals that are low time preference, that work hard and save and achieve, are able to give their children in the next generation all kinds of opportunities that they didn't get. The inequality is what drives the market and what drives people to achieve and innovate and create a better world for everyone. Equality of opportunity is a dirty, dirty fucking word. It's just less dirty than equity. I think one is just conservative. I think equality of opportunity is just conservative talking points and cope. But you kind of have to have a good understanding of libertarian philosophy, I think, to get that.
So those mentally Marxist
and it's just a conservative talking point. It's not libertarian philosophy.
Concept that leads to equality of outcomes rather than equality.
But to be fair, it's a talking point that a lot of right wingers are susceptible to, and it does highlight the bigger issue, which is the equity.
Of opportunities. So those elements are still taught in the classroom today, and it is not because of the Democrats in the state. It is entirely and exclusively because of the Republicans not having the backbone to stand up and do the right thing when it was an option for them to do it. And I'll even give you one better. The Republicans tried to fix this. The good Republicans, because of course there are wonderful Republicans, liberty Republicans in our state, they tried to fix what Chris Sununu and the Senate broke, and the larger GOP wouldn't let them do it. They actively blocked it because they were pissed off that the liberty Republicans were trying to take away like dictator Sununu's emergency powers. So that is what we are dealing with. Although there are wonderful Republicans in the state, that is what we are dealing with in terms of not having a person in an executive position who will actually sign and not screw around and water down with these wonderful bills that are being introduced in our House of Representatives. So that was number one reason. But if you thought that that was just a fluke, I'm going to fast forward to this year where, again, our wonderful House of Representatives passed an amazing parental...
Yeah, again, I'm not really sure what her argument is here, because she already admitted that this gubernatorial candidate that's conservative isn't like those people. So, I mean, like, so far her argument is structured around there are good Republicans and bad Republicans, that's why you should vote Libertarian. Like, she's literally... So far, her entire line of argumentation is just vote for the right people and the GOP can be fixed. Like, I don't understand why you would do that.
Well, she's white-pilled, I guess.
I don't know.
Rights in education bill to bring academic transparency to the classroom, to make sure that parents have the ability to go into
What's up, turning the frogs gay?
in order to understand what the teachers are teaching their children. You know, when even though the divisive concept bill was watered down in 2021, we still had over 1,000 teachers in the state of New Hampshire alone sign public petitions saying they were going to break the law to actively teach critical race theory in the classroom. So then this parental rights in education bill becomes even more important, because that was supposed to give parents the power back to be able to understand what their children were being taught in schools. And what did Chris Sununu do? Came out and said he was going to veto it because he's siding with the Democrats again. This is why it is important that people stand up and vote for a third option for governor in New Hampshire. Think of it as a giant FU every time the Republican Party, and again, I'm not talking about people like Karen, I'm talking about people that are actually the ones that end up in these offices. Think of it as a giant FU every time that they have taken your vote and screwed you over and stabbed you in the back to side with the Democrats to continue indoctrinating your children in the government schools. That
Right.
I don't know, since like 1913 at least.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm trying to figure out, like, what is her argument here? Like, is she going to go against the idea of public schools? Is she going to make a libertarian argument for, like, why we need school choice? It seems like right now she's just saying the Republicans are watered down, so we need better Republicans.
I think that is what she's almost verbatim saying.
Right, like, I mean, I'm not... maybe she's going to turn this around at some point, but so far, like, it sounds like she's running for the Republican candidacy for governor on anti-woke shit. She sounds like Ron DeSantis. She doesn't sound like a libertarian. She hasn't made any libertarian arguments so far. She's just made anti-woke, right-wing. We need better bills and better Republicans to fix this problem. Come on, give me something, Karlyn, because I'm gonna talk shit on you later in the stream. I'm gonna show how you attack the liberty movement, but apparently you're not only are you attacking the liberty movement and tons of people in the liberty movement, you're also just propping up the Republicans. I mean, she's shitting on the bad Republicans, but she's doing so in such a way that doesn't say that this is intrinsic to Republican. This is intrinsic to conservatism and how they operate, and that they're not good for you, and the ideals that they presume to hold, they never will.
That's what you get when you vote for a libertarian for governor. And if we are able to get a large enough percentage of the vote, well, first of all, our real reason for running both myself for governor and Jeremy Kauffman for Senate is that we need to get ballot access back in the state. We have to get 4% of the vote in either the governor or the United States Senate rate in order to attain ballot access. When we don't have ballot access, do you guys know what we have to do in order to even get libertarian candidates on the ballot to be able to give everyone an option? We have to go out and collect over 5,000 signatures, half from each congressional district. It has taken dozens of...
That's actually not that bad considering like what they have to do in the South. Some of the states in the South, it's like fucking like 50,000, and like literally you need 80,000 because they're gonna like a good fucking quarter of them they're gonna knock off and say they're invalid. Well, she used to be a hardcore lefty like a few years ago, and then she did Walkaway, and then she got kicked out of Walkaway, so she went to PragerU, and then she said Hitler is in heaven, and you know, lo and behold, some of the Jewish people in PragerU didn't like that.
Probably Dennis Prager.
Probably Dennis Prager, if we're going to be honest. And then she went into the LP.
Volunteers.
Also, I'm sorry to do this to you, but I have to go get socks because it's a little cold in here. But it'll be miserable if we don't have that AC on.
Yeah.
1,000 signatures, half from each congressional district. It has taken dozens of volunteers, months of times in order to be able to do this. And I want to encourage everyone, every New Hampshire registered voter that's here today, we will have these petitions at our Mises Caucus tent. Please stop by the tent and sign a petition to help us get on the ballot if you haven't already. We're almost done. We are going to make it, but we definitely need everyone to show up and get your help for that, because this is what the two-party system forces us to do to even run a candidate for office. Now, I want to talk a little bit about what I would do and my platform if I'm running for governor. Because
okay, so finally, she's shit on the bad Republicans and talked about how the Republicans need to put the right Republicans in. Now she's going to talk about the libertarian philosophy. So let's hear it.
My platform is almost entirely focused on bringing down public education in the state of New Hampshire. I want New Hampshire to be the first state that completely decouples the state from the school system. And but we.
All right. I'll eat fucking crow. That is a libertarian position, without a doubt, and a good one.
Can't do this. Yay. But here's the thing, guys. We cannot do this by passing a law. We can't do this just by implementing a policy. What we need to do is to start to change culture in the state of New Hampshire in order to be able to do that. Because what we need is...
Hey, Garbage Brains. Thanks for your 3-month subscription. You got that 3-month coin. Only 3 more months and you'll get that silver coin. Let's go.
For the people to rise up and say, I will not give you my children to indoctrinate any longer. We need to make sure people have the options and are aware of what's going on in the public schools. And that is what what I built my campaign platform around. Let's talk about my #1 promise that Kevin was good enough to talk about earlier. On day 1 as governor of New Hampshire, I would sign an executive order requiring that every public school in New Hampshire put a camera in the classroom to live stream to parents of children in that classroom exactly and precisely what the teachers are teaching. Now, I know this might sound like state surveillance, and of course, as libertarians, we're not in favor of state surveillance.
All right. So, Mark, what you missed was she said eventually she wants to abolish public schools. So I'm with her on that.
That's cool.
That's part of her. She switched to her platform. She says that. I'm with that. And then the next thing is she wants cameras in the schools, and she's going to supposedly explain that. So let's see.
Teaching. Now, I know this might sound like state surveillance, and of course, as libertarians, we're not in favor of state surveillance. But hear me out for a second. Public schools have been broadcasting their classes over the internet for the last couple of years, all through the pandemic. And when public schools were forced to use the internet to teach children, we saw the largest exodus from government schools in New Hampshire that we have seen in generations. Because for the first time, parents were able to look over their kid's shoulder and see the public schools are not teaching the same things that they were teaching when I was in the public schools.
So that's the good part of her argument. I'll give her that. I think it's 3.5 million during the pandemic. Students unenrolled or missing from school.
Damn, that's almost as many people as who disappeared from the job force.
Pretty much.
So we have to make sure parents have access to this sort of information. And the reality is, folks, your kids are filmed all the time in public schools. I mean, even before they're in public schools, most daycares have a camera where parents can log onto that private feed to watch what's happening to their kids in daycare, and they well should. But your kids are also being recorded on school buses. Your kids are being recorded in school hallways. Your kids are being recorded at recitals. They're being recorded at basketball games. They're being recorded by their friends when they just have their iPhones. The only place that they are not being recorded is in the place where it can actually make the most difference in the classroom, so you can see exactly and precisely what your kids are learning. And there are a lot of teachers who are behind these types of initiatives, A, because they think it's going to show parents how awful their kids behave when they're in school, when the parents aren't looking, so they like that. But also, I've talked to parents who are saying, okay, so who are teachers who are saying, okay, so a kid is out sick, they can just go and watch the recorded lesson and not have to miss any school. That's actually a benefit. And by the way, special needs parents have been asking for cameras in classrooms for their kids for decades because their special needs children are the most likely to be abused by the teachers in the public school systems. So if we can implement cameras in classrooms and get this information out there and make it accessible to everyone, that's when we can start to expose the public.
Well, that's not a surprise. I mean, you go for the week of prey.
She makes a good argument here. She makes a good argument. Like I'm trying to be as unbiased about this as I possibly can. She makes a decent argument for the, not even a decent argument. I'd say a very strong argument. I don't want to like this bitch, but it's a good fucking argument. You know what I mean? Like it's a good argument. I'll give her that.
Credit where credit is due, amigo.
You know what I mean? Like once hearing the supporting evidence, the idea, because she's right. They are recorded in the school bus. They are recorded in the hallways. I don't know that the cell phone thing really matters. I mean, I guess it's good to tack it on from a rhetorical position, but not necessarily anything else. I don't blame all the disenrollment on parents seeing what's being taught, though. Yeah, no, and I mean, some of that's that. Some of it's just people leaving the workforce. Some of it is parents having time to spend with their children and preferring it, right? You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of other reasons why people have done that. It isn't just that. But I mean, you also can't deny the mama bear movement in Loudoun County and things like that of people being more aware of what's going on in the schools. I'm afraid it will make the egalitarian propaganda more secretive, esoteric. Well, I mean, it's not a solution, right? It's not a solution, and it can provide like false comfort. And you're right, it can make it more esoteric and secretive, but that's because it has to be, right? So I mean, I could see this having a positive impact, more than a negative impact. Now, granted, I don't know that I want to pay for it. You know, there are certainly issues there. I don't know that I want the school administrators having access to cameras of your children at all times, but I mean, we're kind of going towards that world no matter whether we like it or not. Privacy is kind of becoming a thing of the past. So,
unfortunately,
I'll give her that. That's a good, I mean, like that's a position that's pretty much hers and is a good one. got some room for arguments against it, but I don't know. It's a pretty solid position. I'll, give the devil her dues.
Schools for what they really are. My goal is not to have public schools forever. My goal is not to institute state surveillance. My goal is nothing left than destroying the public schools in the state of New Hampshire and then building up other options. Because the reality is this, the public schools are not fixable. This is something, and listen, I was a Democrat for 20 years. I was one of those people that was like, we need to give teachers all of the money that they require to make sure that they can give our children the best options and all that. I did that for a long, long time. Here's the problem. It is the staffing pool. It is the teachers. Because how the woke nonsense is getting into the schools right now is it's starting in the colleges of education. It is starting with the teachers who are actually training the teachers that are teaching your kids.
I mean, it's actually starting in the schools and then there, but, fair enough.
It's kind of a chicken egg situation, really.
Yeah.
Teachers to fill the roles in public schools in order to be able to fix the problem that we have. That is why we do need to take the drastic step of targeting public education directly, because until we do that, we aren't going to be able to build up the charter schools. We aren't going to be able to build up the homeschool pods. We aren't going to be able to have the resources to do that. Another one of my initiatives is I would work with the legislature, because I think listen, as governor, I could not do everything by executive order. Try as I might, I would not actually be a dictator like King Sununu. So I would work with the state legislature to introduce a bill to make the
Creepy. Knowing her narcissistic tendencies, that just creeps me out more than anything.
Also, I wish he would just stop saying his name. It's such a goofy name, Sununu.
Oh no, I think this is probably a good rhetorical thing to do.
No, I just think his name is ridiculous. Like it's not a critique of her in any way. It's actually just his name that bothers me.
Right, I think that's the point though. Is constantly bringing it up to bring that ire towards the current government and the current Republican administration. It's actually a genius trick to keep saying that goofy fucking name.
So I would work with the state legislature to introduce a bill to make the proper...
Like, her saying it over and over again is making you hate this fucker.
Just his name.
If you didn't already hate her.
Property tax optional. In the state of New Hampshire, 66% roughly of our property tax goes directly towards funding the public schools. Hey, if you like the job the public schools are doing, continue to fund the public schools. No one is going to force you to do it. But if you would rather take that nice chunk of change and put it towards a private school education for your kids, or charter school, or homeschooling, or just paying the gas bill at the end of the month, because God knows that's gone up lately, you're going to have that option too. And guess what? If schools don't have money to be able to do this, they can just fire all their diversity and equity staff that they've hired over the last 2 years and reclaim that budget. Did you guys know?
Yeah, I mean, like, the problem here is like, so the moment you start giving education dollars and things like that to schools is the moment that Democrats, teachers unions, activist organizations, and all of these things via the ballot box, via this authoritarian system of democracy, begins to try and vie for what regulations get attached to those. And the other thing is like, how do you pass that? Because the way that you pass that is with compromise, right? I mean, that's why it's, you're attacking the Republican administration for working with the Democrats. But the fact of the matter is that if they don't work with the Democrats, they wouldn't have gotten anything passed at all. Right? And because that's the system of governance that we have that requires like this cooperation, and then you get a kind of this shitty version of everything. Right? And so how do you pass school choice? Well, the way that you pass school choice is that you allow certain regulations and bodies and certain things that the Democrats, activist organizations, teachers unions want to use in order to have some form of additional scrutiny and regulation onto private schools and onto homeschooling. And so this support of like school choice is great, but if you give that money in any way other than just to the parent to use however they want, if you don't say, look, here's the money, here's that money, and then if your kids go to public school, you don't get that money. If your kids go anywhere else or you homeschool, you get that money. Anything short of that is going to come with strings attached to it, and those strings are going to influence private schools and homeschooling, and it's going to allow the woke to subvert more institutions. Because because as she already said, the real issue is colleges. The real issue is this pernicious moral philosophy of critical theory from the Frankfurt School mixed with some Marcusianism, some Marxism, some Hegelianism. These philosophies that are pernicious, and especially in the university. If you're not attacking the universities and the philosophy, you're not really going to get a lot of solutions downstream unless it's truly decoupling from those institutions and taking that power away from them. If you allow them an avenue to attack these places, they're going to attack them. And what you're far more likely to get is school choice, but now the woke indoctrination shit is fully infected every private school, and there's woke indoctrination guidelines for your homeschooling practice. And I don't fucking want that. I don't fucking want that at all. So like there's places for compromise in terms of Fabian strategy, and then there's places where you have to dig your heels in the sand and say like, no, it's all or nothing on this specific issue. And I think this is one of them. I could be wrong.
Know that schools in New Hampshire have only spent about 30 to 40% of the federal COVID money that they all took over the past 2 years in terms of like funding the schools to be able to make them be able to survive in the era of COVID. They spent less than half that money. There used to be a website tracking how much of that money the schools were actually spending. It's not as though they don't have the resources. So you know what? They don't need any more of our taxpayer money in order to be able to do it. Another one of my initiatives is I would immediately defund every single program that is state funded with equity in the title, because equity, thank you. Equity is presented.
They'll just change the fucking name. You know what I mean? Like I get it. That's cool and all, but like they'll just change the name. You know what I mean? Like just the same way critical pedagogy became transformative SEL. The same way critical theory, our critical legal studies became critical race theory, in the same way critical theory became critical legal series, in the same way that critical theory was derived from Marxism. They rewrite and rehash and reword this shit over and over and over again. It's the same thing with like Paulo Freire's ideas. They just reword this shit. Like, I mean,
subprime mortgages.
I wouldn't say it's a bad thing to do that again, but it's another Pyrrhic symbolic victory. It's you're not gaining anything from it.
Equity in the title, because equity, thank you. Equity is presented as an idea that is just about fairness and justice and leveling the playing field, but it is decidedly not about that idea. What equity is about creating a society in which the mediocre is the standard. It is about holding down the exceptional. It is about not allowing the truly exceptional, the truly genius to be able to rise. That robs all of us. If you have,
As does equality of opportunity, but just not as bad.
ever read the short story Harrison Bergeron or seen the really bad but kind of great TV movie that was made from that short story? It's on YouTube if you haven't seen it. I highly recommend you go and watch it or read that story, because that is a story of an entire society built on equity, where the smartest kids in the classroom have to wear headbands to be able to distract them, to numb their intelligence, where the best dancers have to wear weights on their ankles so that they can't jump higher than anyone else. That is actively what the public schools are trying to build in our country right now. And not only are they building it by infusing equity into the classroom, they are also infusing it by hiring a plethora of diversity, equity, and inclusion staff. If any state money is going to those programs, I will immediately take it away. And again, that is not required to educate your children. And the reason that I'm so hyper-focused on this is that we know that the public schools are completely failing in their primary job. The National School Report card.
Fucking homeschoolers do like 30% better on average on tests without all of the expertise and backing and teachers and staff, just by not being in that shitty situation.
Has told us that 36% of public school students nationwide graduate from high school knowing how to read. 36%. And that's not even the worst statistic. 33% of students in public schools around the country graduate from high school knowing how to write. 26% of students graduate from high school knowing how to do math. That is what our taxpayer money.
I wonder how they define that. It's that bad, but I also wonder how they define it.
Has bought for us. Less than 1/3 of students are learning the basic fundamentals because schools are so much more focused on teaching equity and social justice and overt state-sanctioned race.
Yeah, no, that's not why they're failing. They were failing long before that was a primary issue. They're failing because the institution is a corrupt institution in and of itself. They're attempting to teach you obedience. They're attempting to teach you state-based ideology They were never designed to teach you how to think. They were always designed to teach you what to think. And it's socialized daycare for children so that women can go into the workforce. I mean, I don't care which parent stays home. I'm not being sexist here, but that's really all it was to make sure that both parents were in the workforce so that they could lower the middle class and the poor. Because then once they're both in the workforce, then they can tax you and then they can reduce wages and then both of you can struggle and then both of you get to be the dad and nobody gets to be the mom.
Which doesn't seem to help the child.
No, it doesn't.
Racism and grooming your kids in the classroom. I broke a news story a couple months ago in which a public school in Vermont, so it's a little bit different over there, they were grooming children to come out of the closet as trans in the 5th grade and then putting them on the internet in the 7th grade at 12 years old to brag about how much their public schools had supported them in doing it. It has got to stop. Parents have got to put their foot down. As governor,
same old shit, different day.
Parent-friendly state in the country, and I would make us the capital of homeschooling in the country so that we can finally and at long last separate government from education. Thank you.
I mean, it's a pretty strong introductory statement.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. You know what I mean? I have some critiques, but I mean, at the end of the day, like, I'm able to pause. I'm able to, like, break apart what she's saying. I'm able to take more than 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that I'm able to do here that she's not able to do. So, there's that. I also know libertarian philosophy, and she clearly doesn't. She knows libertarian policy prescriptions.
Fair enough.
To give numbers to what Karlyn was just talking about, in Claremont, we spend $25,000 a year per student in the government school system, and this buys us a 25% math proficiency. So presumably we need $100,000 per student if we're going to start getting anybody who's math literate. Next. Karen.
So not to divert from the education, because Karlyn and I do agree on some things, but to give you a little bit of
to talk about something other than education, which is her specialty. Yeah.
Of New Hampshire. So when I came to New Hampshire, I did not realize the jewel that we have here. And many people, so we came before it became vogue to be a free stater. And we actually chose to come to New Hampshire because we thought it was a tax haven, as well as the beauty and the opportunity to be family friendly. However, shortly after I came, I realized that the schools were, in fact, indoctrinating our children into communism, and that was back about 30 years ago. So since then, I've been fighting it. But just to give you a little bit more about why New Hampshire is unique.
You've been losing quite a bit, haven't you?
Yeah, right.
Example, one representative for every 3,500 approximately, it's probably a little bit higher now, residents. Nowhere else in the country do you get that kind of representation. Second of all, we do not have a lieutenant governor. Instead, we have 5 elected representatives who are our last bastion before the governor. And our governor is actually the weakest in the country, and especially if the legislature is in an opposite party from what he is. That has not been the situation this last 6 years. However, our governor, as you are well aware, has been acting like a dictator and a tyrant, and has used his executive orders and his emergency orders to control the public. Now, part of our problem is that we don't know our own Constitution. Our Constitution.
I mean, the Constitution is just a piece of fucking paper that they're going to disregard anyways, but knowing it and having lawyers, it does put a force on it, because the state does wish to the best of its, part of the state's ability to control us cheaply is the psychological warfare of legitimacy, right? You can't.
It's like how they train elephants to be able to lead them around by rope. When they're really young, they hook them to like super thick chain that they can't break.
Yeah.
And then by that point, it just takes a little thread, and you can just kind of keep it moving how you want.
Right. It's but the idea is that if it appears legitimate, and if enough people don't outcry, then they get away with it, right? And they get away with it with very little cost, right? Because they don't want to spend too much money, despite what you might think, too much time and too much money controlling the population. So sometimes they'll go with what the population wants, and they'll boil the frog, right? They'll boil the frog in the pot. The more people that know the Constitution and are aware of that, the better a bastion we can be against that in certain regards. So I agree to that. But ultimately, the Constitution is meaningless. ultimately, the what you're doing is granting legitimacy to the state's existence. Oops, wrong button.
Is probably the best in the country when it comes to our Bill of Rights. If you don't know what's in that Constitution, you don't know what your rights are, and you can't fight for them. So that's why I published this little book. It's for sale, but it has in it the U.S. Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, which, by the way...
Yo, there's so many pocket constitutions you can get for free. You need to relax on this being a selling point for you.
Also, it's called the internet. Like, I can get all that shit anytime.
Right? And like Cornell Law will like explain all the Supreme Court cases that go along with it and shit too.
The U.S. Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, which, by the way, when it says in the Declaration that when the government becomes overbearing and no longer listens to the people, we have a duty to reform it. And so that's part of why I'm running for governor. The second thing that this has in it has the New Hampshire Constitution in it and the original New Hampshire Constitution. So when you go in, you can actually compare and see how far awry we've gone from the original intent of our founding fathers. So my goal in running, and I'm not going to promise you anything except my integrity. I can't make big promises about what I will do and what I won't do because I don't know what the scenario is until I actually get in there and start to do some studying and finding out. But I do know that I can promise you my integrity. So the other thing is that when we look at what's been going on, and this has been under the guise of allowing someone that we elect and trusting them that they're going to do the right thing, we've given up our responsibility to keep them accountable, and we have to take that responsibility back. That's also true in the classroom. If you don't like what your children are getting, then you, the parent, need to take charge and either remove your child from the classroom or find out how to manipulate and work with the teachers to get what you need to be done. But that being the case, the governor, in the case of emergency orders, dictated to us what he wanted us to do, and many people followed along like little lemmings. In reality, he took over the job of the public health officer, of which we have one. The public health officer is able to go to Mr. Bean over here and say, hey, I think that you are contagious and that you should need to be quarantined. He can quarantine an individual. He can quarantine a family. He cannot quarantine the whole state. And that's where we fell awry, was we let them go ahead and issue those emergency orders. But he issued not one, but 9.
Yeah.
If he can quarantine one, why can't he quarantine all?
It's just, I mean, like the idea is that I guess it's supposed to be more difficult. Like the idea that you can quarantine anybody against their will is absurd, and this is the problem with having a state instead of private property, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like you should have fucking insurance agencies representing your rights, and you should have private property owners, and you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want on your private property, and your insurance agency should be like, hey motherfucker, you can do whatever you want, but just so you know, if you're infected with this virus and you leave your property and you're knowingly infected, and you don't follow this quarantine procedure, that's gonna say that we null and void your contract, so none of your rights will be protected. So and that should be the contract that you sign, and then people can voluntarily quarantine themselves, or if people feel that it's necessary to go out, or they need another insurance company that's a little bit more expensive that says, hey, we'll protect your rights, but like you need to take these precautions, et cetera, like that's freedom, the ability to voluntarily choose the means by which you're represented, and other individuals to voluntarily exclude you from your private property, and businesses having a right to say, look, there's a pandemic. If you don't wear a fucking mask, you're not coming in the goddamn store. And another business to say, hey, if you want to come in here with no goddamn mask on, I don't give a fuck. Like, let people be free to do what it is that they want to do. And the market will be much, much more effective at being able to solve these problems than the state, which will just do massive fucking authoritarian shit like she's describing. And then what'll end up happening? Inflation, unemployment, massive gas prices, supply chain shutdowns, people starving, and then global leaders taking advantage of all of the panic and chaos to shut down farms, via nitrogen fertilizer in the Netherlands and in, Canada. That's what happens. What happens is people starve to death and die, and economies crumble because you let the fucking state do stupid ass shit. But the problem isn't that he expanded the powers that you gave him. The problem is that you gave him the power to do that in the first fucking place.
90. And when he promised the state legislature that he would allow them to have oversight view after 21 days before he was going to renew another one, this governor flip-flopped and said, oh no, I'm not going to do that, and he vetoed that bill. So that's some of the things that he has done. The other thing is an emergency, or I'm sorry, the executive order actually is only applicable to the people that work for them in the state government. It
There's nothing more permanent than a temporary government program.
doesn't apply to everybody, and yet we, as a state, turned around and complied with all of that. That's our fault. We need to educate ourselves, be aware of what it is that we can and cannot do. Now, my concern is that the governors have been given so much power, and we look to them and we say, okay, the governor said this, therefore we have to do it. No, that is not actually so. The governor is limited in the Constitution on what they can do. They are supposed to enforce the laws that are on the books. They are supposed to know, when they knowingly know that a law on the books is counterproductive to our Constitution, the law...
What are you laughing at?
When they knowingly know.
Oh, yeah.
Know that a law on the books is counterproductive to our Constitution, the law of the land. They are supposed to no longer enforce it. And I'll cover that in a minute. We have to know
Fat
what
chance
it is
on that,
the
hon.
governor can do, and he's limited also in the time of having a state militia. He is the commander-in-chief. That's it. So, and he is supposed to operate with other governments to make sure that our commerce can be carried on equally. That's it. The governor does not have any more power than that, other than the bully pulpit, and to be able to work with the legislature and trying to convince them to do what they need to do. Now, our second big problem, in my opinion, is that we are tied to the federal dollar, and every time we get tied to the federal dollar, there are stipulations, strings attached on what we can and cannot do. That has been something that our government has been giving away.
Yeah, that's my biggest issue with school choice, is it tying it to the dollars, but even more so tying into those regulations via that funding. But keep on. The Republicans sounding oddly more libertarian than the libertarian here. I don't know. Maybe it's just my bias because I don't like Karlyn. Yeah, if I think about it, she's sounding more like a constitutional conservative.
Yeah, that's exactly what she sounds like.
Yeah.
Strings attached on what we can and cannot do. That has been something that our government has been giving away to the federal government over the years by accepting.
I think it's because she's talking about the role of the government, right? Which seems to be such like a central issue to libertarianism. That's really what it is about. And Karlyn is just talking about like the woke culture war. And like this person's talking about the role of the government and the abuses that the government has done to people, which makes her sound more libertarian from a constitutional conservative position in that regard to me. But again, my bias is probably here.
It kind of, now that you say it that way, it is kind of like Karlyn's coming at it from the left, coming at libertarianism from the left, and she's coming at it from the right.
She's coming at it from Karlyn's coming at it from the right. She's just coming at it from like a culture war position.
I guess, that's, yeah, all right, fair.
Yeah.
Tied to the federal dollar, there are stipulations, strings attached on what we can and cannot do. That has been something that our government has been giving away to the federal government over the years by accepting those dollars. Those dollars actually originate in your back pocket. And it's time that we somehow divest ourselves as a state from all of those dollars. And that's how we closed the Department of Education in New Hampshire. So about 75%.
Honestly, that's a much more based way of of handling getting rid of the schools, is detaching from the dollar. But also, how the fuck are you going to do that? Like,
It's like, good luck.
Interstate commerce is like actually in the original Constitution. Like, good luck the federal government really letting you do that.
That's how we closed the Department of Education in New Hampshire. So about 75% of the budget for the Department of Education actually comes from federal dollars. And that's why they can turn around now and tell us that we have to teach critical race theory. We don't. And we, the people, have to stand up and say, no, we're not going to do it anymore. That's why the resolve has risen to the top as an opportunity for us as we, the people, when the establishment and the way that they put things together.
I mean, there's a lot of other things that are attached to the federal spending too, like that, mostly in education spending, like the legal age of cigarettes, alcohol, a couple other things I can't think of right now.
Continue to override what we the people want.
But basically, they attach a bunch of things, like you can't get education dollars if, let's say, the legal age for cigarettes in your state is 18, or alcohol is 18.
Yeah, and like Mothers Against Drunk, they added drinking age to that too.
Yeah. So it's like,
well, I mean, you just said that, but yeah.
Yeah, like, so I mean, like, there are other things that are tied to that like accepting that money like puts you under the authoritarian control of the state, which is unconstitutional, but you know, whatever. The Constitution doesn't fucking matter.
The resolve will help us to take it back and say, no, we're not going to stand for this any longer. So now here's the thing. If you look at the election fraud that has gone on in this state, has been going on for years. It's not just in 2020. It's been going on for a
She's about to go into election fraud, fucking based.
long time. First of all, it's Article 4 in the U.S. Constitution, first section, says that all elections are, of senators and representatives are the rules, the times, the hours, etc., are left to the states. So back a few years ago when Judd Gregg was the senator and Steve Merrill was the governor, the Congress of the United States passed that voter law that was called the motor voter law, and that was a violation of the U.S. Constitution. If they wanted to do that, they should have introduced an amendment to the Constitution that said that they were going to do that and take it away from the states, but they didn't. So they violated that part of the Constitution that says it's up to the states to set those rules, and they took it away from us, and Judd Gregg and Steve Merrill compromised by saying, oh, so we'll do same-day registration. Well, same-day registration, unfortunately, allows people to vote without having to prove that they really are qualified voters in the state of New Hampshire. And why is that? Because...
All right, boys, you heard it. We can go to New Hampshire and we can vote to get her out. No, I'm just kidding. Please don't do that. That's election fraud.
The state constitution specifically tells us how we're supposed to count our votes. And it is supposed to be in that meeting on the day of the election. So we're sort of between a rock and a hard place at that point. If we wanted to have machines, now this is going on to another thing. If we wanted to have machines, it should have also been a constitutional amendment to the people of New Hampshire. Do you want electronic voting counting machines? That did not happen. Instead, the legislature passed a law that said that we would try them for a trial basis in 1979. So the machines, the Dominion machines,
wow,
were actually...
It really is. Nothing lasts longer than a temporary government program.
Yeah.
We just tried it out once, and it never went away.
Yeah, and we never consulted with the state legislator at all.
So the machines...
Well, I mean, they did for the temporary government program that became permanent.
The Dominion machines were actually originally a Diebold machine, and the Diebold's were being sold by none other than John Sununu, Papa Sununu, to the states. So now we come forward and we realize that those machines are culpable and we do not need them. So those are just some of the things that I'm aware of.
Yo, Karen over here sounded like fucking Alex Jones. Sounds more like Alex Jones than a constitutional conservative at this point. Fucking My Pillow has entered the chat.
That I think we need to fight to work on. I agree that our parents have to be put back.
No, it's pretty fucking based.
Schools, but we have other rules and laws on the books.
I mean,
that our government,
as far as a Republican can be, you know, the appeal to the Constitution over and over again is cringe. But you know,
does not follow, that our schools do not follow, and unfortunately, there's no penalty written into these laws if you don't follow them. So this is something that we need to address as well. In my administration, I will be using the bully pulpit to try and reestablish the family as the building block that it is in this state. I'd be instituting an encouragement to you, the people, to say, let's have a family meal on one day a month. We'd specify one day a month, the 15th of the month. This is the day that you are going to work very, very hard to have your family meal, because we know that every time these families have their meals together, they tend to stay together. That's where your communications go. That's when you know what's going on with your child. So that's number one in some of the things that I would be doing.
Wait, is she going to institute that you have to have a family meal? What?
Have a family meal on one day that it is in this state. I'd be instituting an encouragement to you, the people, to say, let's have a...
So she's just fucking Marcusian here. Like, we're going to use the state in some way to try and force you to engage in what I believe to be my conservative values. Okay.
Family meal on one day a month. We'd specify...
I mean, it's a good one. It's probably mostly beneficial, but it's consequential as fucking authoritarian measures to try and use state funding and power to influence people towards the idea of doing what you want them to do based off of your values.
One day a month, the 15th of the month. This is the day that you are going to work very, very hard to have your family meal, because we know that every time these families have their meals together, they tend to stay together. That's where your communications go. That's when you know what's going on with your child. So that's number one in some of the things that I would be doing. I've been working in this state to mitigate a lot of these different things. I'm well aware that we've been teaching communism in our schools since I came to this state, and it's time that we take it back and eliminate that as a problem. So he keeps telling me that I've got only 2 minutes left, so I'll try to wrap this up. I'll give you a little bit of background about who I am, if you don't know. And Karlyn and I do agree on a lot of things, so one of the reasons that you might want to consider just joining together, and let's make sure that we get someone who can fight against Sununu. If we don't join together many times, it's a divisive thing, trying to keep us divided when we are...
Did you say, why does it say porcupine? Is that an inside joke? No, that's literally the porcupine is like the mascot of the LP, of libertarians. You know, like the Democrats have the donkey and Republicans have the elephant. Libertarians is the porcupine, which is essentially like a tepid and weak individual with spikes. So don't touch me, leave me alone. That's the whole point, right? Like, it's also New Hampshire, yes, but again, the porcupine.
Are there porcupines in America?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I don't know. Look it up.
Really working for the state of New Hampshire, for the citizens of New Hampshire. We want to do what's best for New Hampshire. And if we split that vote, and we continue to split that vote, we're not going to get over that hump. And so that's one of the reasons that I think that we maybe ought to join forces. And I do understand that we want to be able to have the libertarian view, but I think if you look at people who are running and look at their record and what they've been doing, that would be the better thing to do. And to unify our vote together so that we can, in fact, unseat this tyrant.
Well, they used to be in Virginia. They no longer exist in Virginia.
Sits in the corner office at this time.
Thank you very much. You have 7 minutes.
I have 7 minutes for rebuttal. You know, I absolutely agree with Karen that I do think that we should come together and work together with the Liberty Republicans and the Libertarians. I just have a difference of opinion on how we should come together. I wonder why every single time the Republicans want the Libertarians to vote for them, they demand we come and vote for their candidates. Why don't
What drama? We are looking at Karlyn Borysenko's debate right now to try and be as fair as we can to give her an opportunity to speak about libertarian issues before we utterly shit on her for the monster that she is. And when I say utterly shit on her for the monster she is, our goals are here. We'll go over our goals again later. We will go into psychology as a virtue. We'll watch the Hunter Avallone affair. We will talk about her ex-boyfriend and or friend that was convicted of helping pedophiles. I don't think this is a big issue. This is one under old news. The Hitler went to heaven thing, another thing under old news. We'll go under the Deb Philman and Carrie Smith video, where she tells people to dominate and says horrible things. We'll go over the fake GoFundMe from Kieran White. We will go over the walkaway thread. We will go over the gaslighting video from Karlyn claiming anti-woke people are harassing her. We'll just kind of look at that for a couple minutes. Stealing ideas with a beginning statement from Deb Philman to understand that she's engaging with people that are trying to be as good faith as possible. Her claims of filing a criminal report. Sexual harassment of Kieran J. White. The doxing of Kieran J. White. A giant thread on all of the harassment she's done on Mike Harlow. We will show her going after Carrie Smith's pastor. And then we will go into Casimir a little bit by looking at a quick video from some of the things she claimed when she did those things to him. And we will show harassment, doxing. You know, I have other receipts, for example, things that we'll kind of just hold off on. There's some other things that, you got to keep in your back pocket. I'm not showing anything from Bot, the famous person that loves to harass and dox people that she encourages. I'm not showing anything from her threats against Carrie Smith live on stream that I may or may not have recorded about beating that person's ass. We'll keep I got a lot of documents, but we're going to go through some of the receipts and some of the things to show you why this person is a problem. But before I do that, I want to give her the opportunity to speak her words in terms of the way that she defends libertarian philosophy. And so far I've seen zero libertarian philosophy and a lot of philosophy that isn't libertarian, but I have seen a lot of really strong libertarian policy prescriptions. And, if I'm going to advocate that this person gets the fuck out, at least let her put her views out there. So we're doing that first.
the Republicans come and vote for our candidates. To be honest, we've tried voting for Republicans, and now we've seen exactly how that's turned out. And what I want to do is to create the perception that libertarians can actually win elections in New Hampshire. If we can't win elections in New Hampshire, then where can we win elections? And that perception is not going to start shifting until people show up to the polls and start voting libertarian. I said at the very beginning, I'm under no illusion. I am not going to be the next governor of New Hampshire, and we all just need to come around to that idea. I understand that. But what I would love to do is get 4% of the vote, 5% of the vote, 6% of the vote, and then next time do a little bit better, and then the next time after that do a little bit better, because the more we keep inching up that margin of people in New Hampshire voting for libertarians, the more average people, and no one probably at Porcfest is an average person if we're honest about it, but I want average people who don't come to events like this to see those numbers go up and up and up and say, oh my God, the libertarians might actually be able to win. And then it doesn't seem like such a throwaway vote. Republicans always try to convince us that we are throwing our vote away when we vote for libertarian. No, I think that Republicans who have more libertarian values than they do with the GOP are throwing their vote away every single time they vote Republican when there is a better libertarian candidate.
I'm gonna be honest, I pretty much agree with her.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, like yeah, she's right here.
In addition, I frankly, again,
I mean, from what she puts forward, she's a pretty good libertarian. I understand why Mises Caucus. Where are you going? Oh my God! Right now. All right. Anyways, yeah. So I mean, like from what she's put forward thus far, it's very obvious that her policy prescriptions are good. I understand why Mises Caucus picked her. I understand why Jeremy Kauffman picked her. I understand why you know, when I DM'd. I understand why when I DM'd people that I had interviewed in the past and people that they've liked and we've spoken to and set up interviews with at LPNH, I understand when I told them that, like, hey, we're going to be talking about this. Somebody needs to do something. I understand why they left me on red. I understand why they don't want any part of the drama. But the fact of the matter is that her behavior is extremely toxic and is fighting against that very fight. The fact that we have someone that engages in narcissistic, manipulative, destructive power that wants to use the state, or at least threatens to use the state, threatens people, doxes people, harasses people, cry bullies people. The fact that behavior is so over the top and toxic that it's going to stop us from being able to get the appropriate gains. But when you watch her debate, I'll give her that. She puts up some fairly decent policy prescriptions.
I just don't think the GOP goes far enough in terms of what they're doing with the public schools. I mean, the GOP are focusing mostly on school choice, and I think school choice is great. It is a stepping stone. But again, we have to remember that the problem that we are dealing with in the public schools is a staffing problem. It is not just a problem of curriculum. It is a staffing problem. Say we fire every single woke teacher in the state of New Hampshire today, which would be about 90% of the teachers teaching in the public schools. Who are we going to replace them with? And so
more woke teachers. Like, that's all that you're going to get. I mean, like, because the issue is not the public school system. The issue is the existence of the public school system and the existence of the indoctrination in academia. Like, those are the two things. What I'm worried about is supporting school choice allows those individuals to infiltrate additional places, including homeschooling and private schools. The way we have it right now, the wealthy can choose to decouple from this woke bullshit, and the poor and the middle class can't. And what I'm worried about is we're going to support programs like school choice with the illusion of it being better, with all these strings attached to it, and teachers unions and activist organizations and Democrats and all these people are going to have that power now to add additional regulation to those funds, because we're still taxing people to send their kids to public school, but now we're just taxing them to send them where they want on a school voucher, and then all of those places will be infiltrated, and then there won't even be a haven for the people that are willing to homeschool or the people that have enough money to put their kids in private school. There'll be no haven. There'll be no place to run from this shit.
Even if you take your kid out of one school, you take them out of the Manchester School District, who required all of their employees to go through a unconscious bias training to deal with their inherent whiteness and the racism that comes with them being white. Say you say, okay, I'm not sending my kid to that school is totally woke, and you put them in another school. Guess what? They're doing the exact same thing. And the truth, that is true in private schools as well. In private schools, it's even harder for parents to push back on the curriculum, because if the private school doesn't like what you're doing and you're speaking up, they can just kick you out. The problem that we have with the schools is a staffing problem. It is not a problem of just the curriculum. That's why I want to make New Hampshire the most homeschool-friendly state in the country. I want to be able able to encourage entrepreneurship, to be able to bring the best entrepreneurs in that are going to make homeschooling more accessible to more people. And whether that is just a mom around the kitchen table helping her kids with lessons that she's getting on the internet, or a pod of parents, when we have wonderful educational pods all around the state, there's so many creative options that we can avail ourselves to make sure that children are actually learning the fundamentals of reading.
But how are you going to do that? Are you going to do that from a right-wing culture war perspective and add money to the problem, stolen money from people to try and encourage these systems, stolen money that comes with more strings? Or are you going to deregulate literally like things in homeschooling? Like the you know what I mean? Like I get the concept that homeschooling's better than public schooling, but like, how are you going to do that? Because one is a libertarian solution and the other is just a right-wing solution that's going to be corrupted by the same philosophy and the same bullshit that has been fucking over the right for the past 100 years because they keep losing.
Writing and math and the things that they should be going to school to learn. So I want to make us the homeschool capital of the country, to make sure that every parent here feels comfortable that they can homeschool their kids, because that is usually the reason why they're sending them to the public schools in the first place. So many parents are afraid that they haven't been trained to be a teacher, they don't know how to do it. Well, let's make that more accessible. As governor, I would form a blue ribbon commission, because apparently commissions also always need to have blue ribbons. Okay, so I'll give it a blue ribbon. Maybe I'll give
Hold on, pause real quick. Apparently Little Bits needs a certain channel point redemption that he may or may not be aware of, so I'm just going to play it real quick for you. There you go. That's my answer to your question.
Evil is evil, strikable. If I have to choose between one evil and another, then I prefer not to choose at all.
Gold ribbon, just for a little spice. I'm going to form a commission of some of the most smart entrepreneurs and homeschool advocates in the country to come together to tell us, what do we need to do to make homeschooling available to everyone? And then we start to roll out and implement their ideas, whether that be tax breaks for entrepreneurs that are specifically focused on homeschooling.
Mad Sexy Penguin, I'm not fucking fooled. Trust. I am not fooled that this person isn't fucking evil. Whether or not she's a fucking grifter, you know, the evidence of her going from the walk away to PragerU to the Libertarian Party, that could be her be a grifter. That could just be a natural descent from being a lefty, discovering that the left has gone crazy, going into kind of like right-wing philosophy and things like that, and then saying some wild shit and kind of being forcibly removed and realizing that all along what she was really wanted was a libertarian, and like she's learning libertarian shit. I don't know, right? Like I can't pretend to know that she's just a bullshit grifter. What I can say is that nothing she's saying is backed up by an understanding of philosophy. What she's saying is talking points. You put her against somebody like Dave Smith, right? Or Spike Cohen, and listen to the language that they use. Not once have I heard her say the state, right? Not once has she said, the state does this. The state does that. This is why the state is a problem, right? And there's a reason, because she hasn't fucking read a lot of fucking Rothbard or Hoppe or Block or, you know, even some of the, or Friedman or any of these people that are like, you know, ANCAPs, but libertarian philosophy. It's not backed up by that. It's all little L political talking points. And if that's just because she's early in her journey, that's because she's early in her journey. And if she goes further in her journey, that'd be awesome. She says wild shit that's anti-libertarian, such as her stance on free speech that makes no sense. She thinks fraud and harassment are forms of free speech. They're not, right? Like they're damaging things in certain regard, unless you want to take like a Walter Block approach, which you can, and I kind of agree with, right? But that would require that form of argumentation. Instead, she's just, I'm a free speech absolutist. Well, that's not libertarian. Libertarianism is private property. That you own your private property and you can say whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want on Twitter. You can't say whatever you want in certain spaces. You can't say whatever you want on someone else's property. You see what I'm saying? Like there's no, like she says the right thing, but the way that she gets there isn't in any way like libertarian. She just keeps saying right-wing culture war shit. But again, that could just be her starting her journey, right? Like I got no problem with someone in the LP if they're anti-war, low taxes, and want to get rid of shit in the woke schools. That's an LP person I can deal with, right? But when she does all of this narcissistic behavior and toxic shit and drives people away and harasses people and doxes people and, you know, uses alt accounts to go after people's pastors to get them kicked out of their fucking church and like potentially sexually harasses somebody while she's married and does all of this other shit that is damaging to the LP, then we have a fucking problem. She needs to either fucking apologize, get her shit together, or she needs to step down because she's a fucking problem for the image of the LP. Let's continue.
Joyously.
If you were told to join the DNC and present yourself as a progressive or a neolib, would you be able to say the talking points? God, fuck yeah, I would. Without any fucking problem. Give me literally anything and I'll tell you the fucking DNC talking points and like what we should do. And I'll even go a step further. I'll give you the Marxist talking point. I'll give you the progressive talking point. I'll give you the social democrat talking point. I'll give you the democratic socialist talking point. And I'll give you the neolib talking point.
Immigrant camps.
Immigrant camps? Okay.
Yes.
So let's start with the neoliberal talking point. You know, these immigrant camps are a serious problem under Trump. Reverse. These immigrant camps are overblown conspiracy theories while we are trying to move people safely and effectively and give everyone a right to be in America under Biden. Right? So there's that, right? Now, what do you want? The Marxist one? The idea that we have borders and the fact that we have, you know, a state that is enforcing these immigrant camps, you know, like it's all fine and dandy when large corporations want to import import undocumented migrants. You know, there is no such thing as an undocumented migrant. They're people. I forgot to say that, right? And you know, the Koch brothers and large corporations like Monsanto want to force these people to come here and they know that they have this better life, but then the government comes in and tries to enforce these borders and it's nothing but locking kids in cages, et cetera, et cetera. You want the fucking like the progressive standpoint? Well, you know, like we need a sensible immigration. We need a path to citizenship. Like there's no such thing as an undocumented migrant. It's so horrible that these people are locked. Just think of the children. Think of the children, just like the Republicans. Think of the children. The Democratic Socialist one is just that, but more extreme. And the DemSoc position is just the one in between the neoliberal and the fucking and the progressive. It's not fucking hard. Immigrants are people. What is the DNC talking point on China? They don't talk about China. That's the DNC talking point on China. Next question, or they walk away from the podium.
Homeschooling or what have you. I don't know what the answer is, but you know what? The thing is, a leader, you don't have to be the one with all the brilliant ideas. All you need to do is bring the people with the brilliant ideas together. So again.
Yeah. Follower of Jesus Christ, just refresh. So for anybody watching, we have this weird lock on our account. Whenever we get to 40 viewers, it'll lock out a bunch of people, and if you're a lurker, it just will like kick you out and won't re-register you for like 10 to 30 minutes. If you're not a lurker, you got to refresh the stream, and then it won't count you for like another couple minutes and some active chat engagement. I don't know if it's on purpose to censor us or if it's just like a bandwidth issue on Twitch that happens with some account.
Well, I think that they're wonderful.
Frustrating as shit.
Yeah. It keeps our views. Every time we get to 40 views, it knocks us back down. And especially if we get like a raid, like the other night when we had 39 views, it's 40 to 44. It just depends on the night. We like when we got when we had 39 people, Akano Boy rated us with 12, and so it immediately switched our numbers to 30. It was like, oh, okay, so the raid caused us to lose 22 people. That's interesting.
don't have to be the one with all the brilliant ideas. All you need to do is bring the people with the brilliant ideas together. So again, while I think that there are wonderful liberty Republicans that do absolutely deserve your vote, you can send a much stronger message to the people of New Hampshire and quite frankly, everyone in the country. If libertarians start winning elections in New Hampshire, that not only impacts New Hampshire, if we are able to start winning elections here or even getting a significant percentage of the vote, that's going to be known all across the country. And that's when people are going to start to feel more comfortable voting for libertarians in Florida, voting for libertarians in Texas. Maybe they even vote for libertarians in California because we all know they want to secede anyway and become their own little progressive like Marxist utopia. Fine, let them do it. As long as we're breaking the two-party system and getting new people in there, that is really all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, again, I'm not hearing any libertarian shit. I'm just hearing talking points, right-wing talking points for the most part, with some culture war right-wing points with some libertarian talking points mixed in.
And listen, I might have a lot of disagreement with more left-leaning libertarians, but the fact of the matter is that we can agree that the two-party system is not serving either of us. So why are we continuing to vote for them? We need to stop the insanity, and it starts.
Yeah, Casimir. I mean, it's a tactical issue for the libertarians to have a toxic narcissist. Well, I can't call her a narcissist. Someone that has narcissistic tendencies and behavior. As someone that is in such a high position that attacks other people and cuts other people from the party. It deeply hurts our movement.
With just getting a few percent of the vote. And if we can accept that we're going to lose, but maybe do a little bit better than we did the time before over the next couple of years, eventually we're going to be able to get enough people on our side where we start winning.
So Carla makes some very good points, but I've got to ask you one question. Are you willing to put up with Chris Sununu for another 2 years?
Yes. I'm absolutely willing to put up with Chris Sununu for another 2
willing
years.
to put up with the tyrants that he's been doing and the continued damage that he keeps doing to the small business person, to the parents of this state? I'm not. And so one of the things I want to point out is John Babiars ran for governor several years ago. He was an excellent candidate. I would have voted for him. But he did not get the nomination, right? Instead, we've got libertarians who are running under the Republican, and let me make this very, very clear. I'm not for, there's an R behind your name, so vote for that person. I'm for finding the person that is a qualified member who is going to represent you and whom you are going to keep accountable. So I'm not there, but we have many, many, many libertarians, free state people who have come to this state to get involved in our government and have been doing an outstanding job in the legislature to move the needle in the right direction. What we have to do is we can't necessarily just tear down the building. We've got to start fixing the foundation and rebuilding that foundation back up. And so that's why it's important for us to look at the records of the people that we are electing and making sure that they are walking the talk, right? That they are doing what they said they were going to do. And when they're not, we need to either get rid of them the next election cycle or we need to call them into account now. Now, part of my problem is that we have a rule, it's actually a law in the state books of New Hampshire, that if your child is disruptive to the classroom, and this is our #1 problem in our public education right now, is discipline in the classroom. So if your child is being disruptive, it is not the responsibility of the public to continue to educate them. You return them to the parents, where they are the primary stakeholders. They are the ones that need to control their children, and they need to hold their children accountable.
It's a weird point to stress. I'm trying to understand her logic here.
And I've got to tell you, this is the #1 homeschooling favorite state in the nation. We have more homeschoolers here per capita than there are in other states. So we're already there. My thing is that it's the parents that need to know that you are capable of teaching your children. How often do I hear, I can't do homeschooling because I'm not capable, or I can't do homeschooling because we need 2 jobs in order to keep the things that we want. So we have to make a choice, #1, on what's more important, my child's education and the values that I have for them, or is it more important to have this material thing? We have to make that decision. But beyond that, you, the parents, are the ones that taught your child how to talk. They taught them their language, you taught them how to dress, you taught them how to eat, how to operate in a social environment. You are the primary teachers. You are the primary advocate for your children. You need to take that over and tell the schools what they can and cannot do. And if they're not going to listen to you, and my husband's a school board member, and I know that they don't want to listen to you, so that's where we, the people, have to get involved, and we have to start running for school board and taking over the school boards. And not just bending over and saying, you're doing such a lousy job, we're going to let you continue to do that job. No. And there is a problem with the property tax. I will tell you that I would love to find a way to alleviate the property tax and go to some other form of taxing our people to operate our government. Because right now it's very unfair. If we have a senior citizen who's lived in this community for 50 years and paid off their house, they no longer own that house if they can't pay the tax bill that keeps going up because of schools and other things. So we've got to figure out a way that we can alleviate that problem. The other problem is why do you have to pay for every child to go to school for the rest of perpetuity? That's not fair. If you decide to pull your child out of school, you not only pay for the public school, but you also pay for your private school or your homeschooling. That's not fair. We've got to figure out a way to maybe go to...
Right. I mean, this is the solution, right? Is to just stop making people pay. Is another actual solution, right? The school choice shit, man, it's I don't know, it's pernicious to me.
Consumption tax. I don't know what the answer is, but that's the thing I'm looking for. How do we make it more fair so that those people who are educating those kids, he who pays the piper calls the tune. So if you're going to let somebody else pay for it, then they get to decide what your child's going to learn.
Exactly.
We, the people, need to take it back over. And so when you're talking about what do we elect Republicans? I'm not in favor of just the Republican name, but I am not willing to sit under another 2 years of this tyrant. And I want to instead bring the liberty opinions and ideas into our government and fight for the liberty that we were given in the original intent of this state.
Okay, we each get 5 minutes to wrap up.
Oh, we get 5 minutes to wrap up?
And then we'll do questions.
All right, excellent. I agree with Karyn wholeheartedly that Chris Sununu is not an ideal governor. I think he's better than a Democrat. Let's just be honest about that. He's absolutely going to be better than a Democrat. But I don't think that Chris Sununu is an ideal candidate for governor. But what's amazing about this situation in which we find ourselves here is for people who are registered voters in New Hampshire, you can actually vote for both Karyn and myself. You can vote for Karyn in the Republican primary if you think that Karyn would be the best Republican candidate for governor, and that vote would count, and that would be amazing, and I would encourage you to do it. But if Karyn doesn't become the Republican nominee for governor of New Hampshire, I'm already the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire endorsed candidate for governor, and I will be on the ballot in November. And so if it doesn't work out with Karyn and you really want to replace dictator Sununu, you're going to have 3 options. You're going to have a Democrat, you're going to have Sununu, or you're going to have me. And so that's where you can actually vote for both of us and get the satisfaction of voting for both of us, and I think that that's absolutely the best way to do it. Now, ultimately, though, again, I do think this is about showing people that libertarians can get votes and that
Little bit. What one is the person he does not like, the left or the right? You know what? I appreciate so much that you've been here this whole time and you still can't tell which of these is the one that I think is a complete fucking monster. I feel like that says that I'm doing a halfway decent job in trying to be fair whilst looking at this, because I hate this woman.
Or they're not paying attention.
Or no, they've been talking the whole time too. That sounds like ranked ballots. No, it's not ranked ballots. They're saying vote for, she's saying vote for Karyn in the primary and then vote for her. You can still vote for her against Sununu.
Libertarians are the dominant political force and political activism in New Hampshire, and if we can send that message out to other people in the state, that's when we start to win. The Republicans are not going to go far enough to protect your kids. They are not going to go far enough to defund the schools. They are not going to go far enough to defund these critical race theory, social justice programs that your kids are being forced to learn. Karyn said something interesting. She said parents are responsible for knowing what their kids are learning in school and then going and forcing the schools to change it if they don't like what they're learning. The fact of the matter is that parents in New Hampshire currently do not have access to the information required to find out what is being taught in the schools because dictator Sununu is vetoing the parental rights and education bill. That's reality. They are very actively hiding from you what your kids are learning in schools. That is what I will make completely transparent so that anyone can log onto a computer and access a live feed to see exactly and precisely what the teachers are teaching your kids at any given time. And let's talk about the school boards for a second. A lot of people don't know this, but they're only...
It's very interesting to me that her entire form of argumentation is just around the schools. And even that, it's I don't know, like it feels empty.
2 states in the country
Feels empty because there's no philosophy there, right? Like it's just talking points. It's just like, I will do this and this is what I want to do.
It's interesting you say that because I was listening to Rogan earlier today. He's talking with Andrew Schultz and just talking about how Jay Leno, everyone liked him because he wasn't being authentic. And now on his current podcast, he's very authentic. And he's doing something he has passion for, like talking about his cars and shit. And it's interesting how obvious it is when someone has passion for something.
Right. I mean, she has passion for this. It just doesn't seem to be.
Not for the philosophy, though.
Right. Like it's just not based in the philosophy.
Any given time. And let's talk about the school boards for a second. A lot of people don't know this, but there are only 2 states in the country in which school boards have a direct say over curriculum, and New Hampshire is not one of them. Unless you live in the state of Vermont or the state of Connecticut, your school boards have absolutely no say over the curriculum that your kids are learning in schools. Do you know who dictates that curriculum? The teachers. The teachers can teach whatever they want as soon as that classroom door closes, unless there are laws and policies put in place that say you can't teach this. And as we've already covered, teachers in New Hampshire have gone out of their way to sign public petitions
Yeah. I have the clip that says that she hates kids. I actually dislike kids. You know, it's a dumb thing for her to say. Like I like, boys, I have what I'm going to show you tonight is maybe a tenth of what I have. Okay? But most of the things like that, I don't find to be things I'm necessarily concerned with. The fact that she says dumb shit on a YouTube channel, right? Occasionally. Well, fuck. If this pisses her off enough, she's going to edit this together and I'm going to say some dumb shit tonight. Right? You know what I mean? Like, we all say dumb shit, especially when you're in front of a live audience. Right? Like I don't want to make this a just let's hate Karlyn Borysenko because nana boo boo drama. I want to make this is specific behavior she's doing that is driving people out of the LP and is really fucking negative and shows a pattern of behavior of narcissistic behavior and toxic behavior, and that she wants to use and that she wants to hurt people. And that's not okay from someone that's supposed to represent the LP. And it's certainly not okay when you're doing it against people that are adjacent to us in our values. People like Kieran White and people like, Mike Harlow and people like Deb Philman and people like Carrie Smith. These are like unwoke people. These are people fighting CRT in schools. These are people talking about the craziness of the Democrats. Are they right wing in a lot of ways? Yes. Deb Philman is a libertarian objectivist, right? Did you misclick again? Deb Philman is a
nice and interact with someone in the Discord, and I can't click right.
Deb Philman is a libertarian, as far as I can tell, and from everything that she puts out. And pushing those people away, that's not fucking good. It's just not good. It's damaging to the LP. I don't care that she's kind of crazy. I don't care that she's toxic. I don't care that I care a little bit that this person defrauds and harasses people and tells her audience to fucking go after Kieran White and doxes his fucking phone number and gives it out to people. I care about that to a certain degree. It's morally wrong. And gray in libertarian philosophy, the idea of doxing and things like that is something that is technically acceptable, but I don't know, something we need to contend with and write a better philosophy behind. But what I care is that she's the gubernatorial candidate for the flagship state and a member of the Mises caucus. This is bad for Mises. This is bad for the LP. And this is going to keep us from winning. And this is going to hold back the liberty movement.
Saying, I don't care what the law says, I am going to break it and teach your kids whatever crazy racist 1619 project social justice nonsense I want to teach them. And when that classroom door closes, you have no access to that information. One of the most effective things we can do is FOIA their emails, FOIA their curriculums, put in public records requests to find out, to force the schools to tell us what they're actually teaching. But even then, that's going to cost you money to be able to get access to that information. So I say we cut out the middleman, we start electing libertarians to these roles so that we can start the process of really making sure that parents know precisely what their children are being taught, precisely what they're not being taught. And once parents have true access to that transparent information, that's when they're going to turn against public education entirely, disenroll their kids from the government schools, start taking advantage of these homeschool programs, which I do want to make more prolific and more available throughout the state. Karen is right that we actually just made it a lot easier for parents to homeschool their kids in New Hampshire in this last legislative session. But the fact of the matter is that the vast majority are still sending them to the public schools. I will not be happy until the majority of parents in New Hampshire remove their children.
Also, fuck you, Conquin. I'm jealous.
From the public schools entirely, and we stop sending them
if you watch the VOD.
In order to be able to do that. That is the goal, that is the mission, and that only happens when people believe that libertarians can win when they run for office.
So Carla makes a very good point. You do have an opportunity to vote twice. So here's what I propose, is that during the primary that you unite and vote for the Republican candidate so that we can unseat when it comes to the nomination and who goes forth into the general election. If at that point you want to vote for Carla, by all means do so. But I have to tell you also, part of my problem is that it is up to you to decide where your children go to school. I do not want to force you into homeschooling your child if that is not what you want to do. Each child is an individual too, and they have different learning styles.
I don't think I don't even think Karlyn's advocating that. I don't even think I don't like Karlyn, but that's a weird sneak diss she's throwing in at the end there.
It's not what you want to do. each child is an individual too, and they have different learning styles. I know, I have 4 children and 12 grandchildren, and every one of those has a different style of learning. And so where they go to school is dependent upon the child and what you, the parent, decide is best for your child.
12 grandchildren, by the way, based.
So those are the things that I think are really, really necessary. And so when it comes down to what are we going to do for the state, we need to empower you, the people, to make your own decisions in your own situations, whether it is to wear a mask or not wear a mask, whether it's to get inoculated or not get inoculated, whether it is to go to work and determine that you are essential to your family. That's up to you. And that's up to you to be able to make that decision, and government should not be in the way. We need to put government into the position that it was originally intended, which is to protect your rights, your God-given rights to oversee your own family, and only the things that we are supposed to be doing, which is to make sure that you're protected, that our borders are protected, that we do not allow illegal people coming into this state and getting the ability to vote. Those sorts of things have to be. The other thing is that the government should be making sure that it's fair and equitable, sorry to use that word, but fair and equitable for you to be able to do business across state lines, within the state, across town lines and so forth like that. And the other thing is to enforce the laws that are protecting our responsibility to other people, that we're not infringing on somebody else's rights. And there are so many laws in the state of New Hampshire that do just exactly that. So one of the things that I would be doing as governor is encouraging the legislature to look at those laws and find out what's repetitive, what is no longer applicable because it should have been sunsetted a long, long time ago, or what is unconstitutional and taking away the rights of the people. Those are things that I could do as your governor to encourage our legislature to look at those things and get rid of them and reduce the size of our law books from 33, I think it is right now, back down to what it should be, which is far more like about 5 different books that carry our laws. So those are the reasons that I think that during the primary, please go ahead and vote for me as your gubernatorial candidate. And you can go to KarenTesterman.com and look up more there. And if you want to help me get the funds, I'm running on a shoestring. I do not believe that we need hundreds of thousands of dollars to fund this campaign.
Well, that means you're going to lose.
Some of my opponents do. But I do believe that we can take this state back to the original intent, which is to empower the people to run their own lives, not government telling you and dictating to you what to do.
Well, thank you both very much. Before we open the floor for questions, I just wanted to explain some of the mechanics that are unique to voting in New Hampshire. You can, on Election Day in September in the primary, show up with...
All right, so I think that's all we need from this. I don't feel like doing the Q&A. I feel like I've given her due diligence in that, at least in that first one. So, before we watch the Hunter Avallone debate, right, where she goes up and contends against someone that's a little bit more... Yo, Deb has entered the chat. Wait, what? So, I want to go over our goals for this. This is both moving forward and for the stream as well. Number one, I will look at the Q&A later myself. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, if you want to watch the whole thing, be my guest. Like this was just posted. It was the left one, little bits. You know that. Stop trolling. Goals. Number one, ensure the LP is focusing on state actors and state violence and not tearing down the movement. You might ask, isn't that what you're doing right now by attacking the gubernatorial candidate for the flagship state? No, I'm not. What I'm doing is I'm pointing out how she is doing that. I'm pointing out all of the attacks that she's doing against other people. Furthermore, I'm shining a light, and beyond just shining a light on these things, the other thing is that this person has threatened to use state violence against other people. She's talking about suing people for harassment. She's talking about filing criminal reports in other countries that she presumably got left out of. This is not the same thing as just going after the LP or going after candidates. I'm not doing this for clout. I'm not doing this for like, the drama content while it is there. But when this person is using state violence and when this person is attacking individuals that are in the sides and the spectrums, in the wings close to the LP, the very people that we should be speaking to the most to bring in, she's driving a wedge because of her behavior. Number two, illustrate the issue with the LPNH and Karlyn Borysenko. This is the issue that I just described. Number three, demand apology to Kieran White, Mike Harlow, Carrie Smith, Deb Thillman, and to Bot. Bot is clearly a mentally ill person that is being encouraged to engage in behavior that could very likely put them in danger with the law and put them in danger with themselves. It's not okay to be encouraging people directly to spam and harass other people after you dox them, because this is not, that's harmful. It's harmful to a person's mental health. You have a certain, I don't want to say legal duty in any regard to natural law philosophy, but I would say that there is a certain moral duty to not encourage mentally ill people to go attack other people. Ann Carolyn's community, as well as the Libertarian Party, the Free State Project, and the LPNH. Number 4, retract her threats. This includes all of the legal threats that she's making, as well as the threats to attack Carrie Smith if she showed up at Porcfest, to retract her threats and to promise to move forward without targeting individuals with further harassment. If she is not capable or unwilling to do number 3 and 4, then I say that our 5th goal must be number 5. Demand a resignation from the gubernatorial position of New Hampshire. So, is this serial behavior? I ask you to do that as well. I ask you to decide that for yourself. Karlyn Borysenko, in my opinion, represents a character of online edgelords who do not focus on the core values and issues of the Libertarian Party beyond attacking statism, political violence, and those who would promulgate said violence. In fact, she even advocates violence, as well as political violence, as well as state violence towards those that are her enemies. It is okay to be an edgelord. It is okay to say crazy things. It's okay to trigger the libs and to trigger the righties. But when you're specifically attacking individuals in the liberty movement that are adjacent to us, that we should be working to bring in, that's not being an online edgelord anymore. That's attacking people and tarnishing the name of the LP. And so I wonder, does she still believe this, or is this just trolling? Is the libertarian in the LP, is psychological fuckery a virtue? When she went to college specifically to learn how to psychologically manipulate people as a person with narcissistic and toxic tendencies, was that her goal? Is that her goal now? Or is she just trolling on the fucking internet because it works to get clicks and views? I don't fucking know. We watched her first debate. Not her first debate, but, the most recently published debate. Then we're going to watch the debate that everybody talks about in the Hunter Avallone fair. I got a lot of receipts, boys. We're not going through all the receipts tonight. We're going to go through enough of the receipts because there may be fallout and it may be good to have some additional receipts. That's just how that works. So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at some of the old news of the pedophilia boyfriend situation. The Hitler went to heaven. Talk about Deb Thillman and Carrie Smith video. A few of those. We'll talk about the GoFundMe situation. We'll talk about the walk away thread. We'll talk about, we'll take a glance at the gaslighting that right wingers are coming after her. We'll talk about her claims of stealing ideas, and we'll show the good faith nature of which individuals attempt to engage with her. And then, of course, the claim of having filed a criminal report, the sexual harassment of Kieran J. White to a certain extent, some of his tweets and things, the doxing, the harassment of Mike Harlow, and the harassment of Carrie's pastor. And finally, we'll look at a nice little video from somebody and that is edited together showing how she just fucking lies and just openly fucking lies about the things she says she's doing and not doing. But the next thing on the agenda is, of course, what I would call the Hunter Avallone affair.
I mean, it is kind of when you're...
All right? This is kind of some of the old stuff, but I think it's important for the history. Taftaj is debating poly people right now. It's entertaining to say the least. Well, if you would like to, grab some of my audience and go to your favorite streamer, poly people. I know, Hosier, you just love poly people so much. You go right ahead and do that. But I'm going to continue on with my content. All right, let's put this at 1.5. Let's make sure I'm sharing. Is it already sharing to you?
Indeed.
All right, awesome.
Simply repeating the same lines that I used on you back, pretending that they're your lines. I mean, do you so desperately want to...
Also, for the record, if like you can't utterly destroy Hunter Avallone, like you're bad at debates.
Be me, Hunter, that you're mimicking me on your stream.
I mean, thank the spirit world that they didn't choose to make me you, because that would have been the ultimate curse. But what are you even talking about right now? What line of yours did I use?
That's a pretty good dunk, Hunter. I'm not gonna lie. All right, we did the charitable debate. Now we're gonna look at an uncharitable debate.
But doesn't he look like he's going to cry? That was the ripoff of me, Hunter. He didn't look like he was going to cry. You were the one who looked like you were going to cry.
Can I formally apologize, please? I am terribly sorry. I had no idea that you owned, you had a trademark. That "Are you going to cry" was your line. My bad.
I like it.
Well, she thinks everything she says is totally and wholly original. She thinks people are stealing her IP by saying defund the schools. Like, yeah, of course Hunter's a piece of crap. I've debated him. He's got me blocked. He's fucking mad at me because I didn't want to debate him on me calling him a grifter because he was mad about it from 6 months before.
You might remember the other day, I had a little conversation with Graphically Alex. He was Karlyn Borysenko's little simp, and since Karlyn Borysenko was far too much of a bitch to actually show up here and talk to me herself, because let's be honest, we're talking about Karlyn Borysenko here, instead she sent her little minion, Graphically Alex, in to talk to me instead. Now, the conversation started off very amicably, it was more like an interview almost, and then from there, it went more and more south. We got more and more aggressive, and by the end, I just, took a little swing at just throwing a couple roasts, getting a couple dunks in, because he was so annoying the entire conversation, and him and Karlyn were both claiming that, what do they say? Hunter got bent over by Doyle and made to be his bitch. So at the end of the conversation, of course, I had to ask Graphically Alex how he felt being bent over and made to be my bitch during the entire conversation, because, it's me. My personality is so endearing. Not only did he post...
How does Hunter look more homosexual sped up? I'm just throwing that out there. Do you, King. Have fun.
Multiple videos after the debate, which he recorded prior to the debate, which we...
Oh my God, pause.
He has now posted...
They call them the Krillin crew. You see that chat?
The Krillin crew. Oh, no. That's fucking mean.
I kind of love
this
that.
This actually talking about the debate that he had with me. So first we have this video here, the Hunter Avallone debate, which we're going to watch in a minute. But first, guys, this dude has reached a level of copium that I have actually never experienced before. Now, I deal with insane copers all the time. This guy's huffing more copium than he is huffing glue. Like, this dude literally made a fake fucking Twitter designed for nothing but making fun of me. He makes a Twitter account called Hunter Avallone. Now, to be clear, I'm not entirely sure that it was made by Graphically Alex, but I mean, it only has 2 followers, and one of them is Graphically Alex, and it's only following 4 people, and it's following Graphically Alex and Karlyn Borysenko.
So I had so much fucking fun.
I mean,
these people don't know how to cover their tracks.
No, they really don't.
And then going on Karlyn's channel after and just...
He literally has tears streaming from his eyes. Guys.
Look, we're all in agreement that we hate Hunter Avallone. Let's continue.
I had so much fun. It was really a good time.
I mean, I don't really give a shit one way or the other personally, but I get
Listen,
it.
if you need to cope to this level, just log off.
I feel kind of alive in a way. It's so gay to say, but I am gay, so I guess it is what it is.
Wow.
But
wow, really?
I just feel so alive and I'm having so much fun. And I know there's gonna be tons of hate and and all this crap after probably for a while. I'm gonna have his moment. But yeah, it was so much fun.
Oh man, he looks in pain. I didn't even see that debate, but he literally looks in pain as he's recording this. I think Hunter probably did whoop him. I'm not gonna lie. Just looking at this guy's like video about how he did.
Oh my gosh, and I had to watch the reaction again, and I think I did pretty good actually. Of course, all the lefties are like, "You did horrible. You're so embarrassing. Oh my god, you didn't do anything. Wow, you're so awful. Oh my god." For all the lefties out there, I didn't do it for you. I did not do it for you, it beefs. Wow. No. All you leftists, hell no. I did it for everyone else. I did it for center, left, center, and right. And
Bro, you don't even have to be a fucking triggered lefty to recognize that all you did was sit there and roll your eyes. You didn't make an argument. The entire fucking conversation was you just I don't really agree with that thing. I don't like it. You never made a fucking argument, my friend. I'm sorry. This isn't just the lefties that recognize it. What it is it's people that are actually rational that recognize it. This is why the only people that think you did good are...
Wellspring has entered the chat.
What?
Who took a break from simping for Adolf Hitler, so it seems, to instead suck you off. And then we have the BX bitch face boy, who, again, he hates me so much, he would rather side with a literal Nazi before he sides with anything that I say.
Yeah, this is where it's hilarious because Karlyn Borysenko is not a Nazi. She just doesn't believe in free will. She's a very weird religious opinion.
So I mean, I don't really know where are you getting this idea.
Yes, this is like one of Karlyn's buds.
Do you think that the centrists are all just Yeah. Standing there and nodding and rolling your eyes the whole time for 2 hours? You wrecked him! And lastly, I mean, I'm not really a far lefty, so just to be clear on that. I know for these people, since they have the Fox News understanding of left, just Joe Biden and like the Marxist-Leninists are all the leftists to them. They're just the radical left. But then on conservative side, it's like, well, I'm actually just more of a center conservative. I'm not really part of the alt-right, but when you get further right, I don't really consider myself that. But you know, you've heard of the paleo-conservatives, right? I'm a little bit more, like, they recognize all the fucking nuance when it's on their side. But then when it's like, yeah, I lean left on this one. Oh, so you're a fucking Marxist-Leninist?
I mean, you literally just called Karlyn a Nazi, so like I don't feel like you have much room to talk there, Hunter.
Leftist?
And that's who I did it for, because we are all sick of your shit.
Oh no.
And it felt really good to know that I was expressing things that so many people felt. It was kind of like, to me, it felt almost artistic too, because in the beginning of the stream with
I was like Picasso in that debate, all right? Knowing that I was able to express my eye rolls that I know everybody has felt one or the other time, okay? People sometimes want to just roll their eyes, and I felt good to be up there doing it. In fact, I felt like I was painting the modern-day Mona Lisa. What are you saying, dude?
And so I tweeted that I went into it stating why I would never vote Democrat, and in the end, by the end of the stream, everything I said was proved right.
Which you realize, again, that all you proved there was that you are such an incredibly shallow human being. The fact that somebody being mean to you who leans left is enough for you to not vote for certain policies that overall benefit you speaks volumes, my friend. The fact that, oh, this guy on YouTube was rude to me at the end of a conversation where I said nothing but dumb shit the whole time. Therefore, I'm going to vote for the side that literally thinks I'm a degenerate, I'm abnormal.
It's like, God, this is hard. They both suck so bad. Is it bothering you that much? Here you go. Here we go. Here we go. We'll get to this.
This guy should get one of those no diving signs to put in his room.
Because of the
That's
blue?
how shallow he is.
Copium coming from Portland, mind you.
The guy, Alec, whatever this person is.
This is the behavior of a totally sane, mentally healthy, not triggered at all, extremely stable woman. These are the tweets she made about me. This, and then it's like, holy fuck. Yep.
Yeah, she does that with literally everyone. I engaged with her once and was like, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't be attacking people. Like why specifically are you going after this person?" It was Deb Philman, and I was like when she retweeted that, like, "I'm an overbearing parent. I'm an overbearing parent. I'm an overbearing parent," like sped up and like completely out of context. And I was like, "Why are we doing this to like people in the Liberty Movement?" She's like, "She's not in the Liberty Movement." Like she went off. And I was like, hey, let's talk about this for a second. Then she went and took a picture of my recent highlights that all have like 0 to like 14 views at the time, right? And she did this to make it seem like our videos get 0 views. And then was like, let's be honest, you're not reaching anybody. Then she took an out of context tweet and screenshotted it because she didn't want to share the tweet. Because if she shared the tweet, it would show that people were talking about war and Jeremy Kauffman. And then I said, like, he's actually pretty anti-war. I linked his war commercial video, like laughing about it, and then said like, hey, we also interviewed him on our channel if you want to check it out. I didn't link our channel at all. So if you click the link, it went to his ad and went to his page. But if you wanted to check out our channel, you had to click our Twitter, then click our YouTube link from the Twitter and then find the interview. And then she took that picture and said that I was claiming that I made his campaign ad and said that I was stealing content and IP from Jeremy Kauffman and that I get 0 views and that's why I have to steal other people's content. And that was the first time she ever met me. And it took her like 6 tweets to get there of me just being like, hey, can we not like, let's talk about this. Like, why are we doing this to like Liberty people? I talked to Deb. She seems pretty cool. And then just trashed Deb the whole time. So there's that.
Everything. She said she was going to ask the psychic if I was a grifter. Ooh, not the psychic. Oh no, not a fucking palm reader. Here you go, psychic. Go ahead, analyze the palm. Does this crevice here, this crease, does this mean I'm a grifter? Hey, what about this, huh? Does that mean I'm a grifter? Come on, man.
Well, I didn't actually try to challenge her. I tried to trap her. I was just like, hey, I don't know what's going on. Like, why are we doing this? Seeing if she'd bring me on so I could just show all these fucking receipts and be like, why the fuck are you doing this? And why are you the gubernatorial candidate? So, I mean, like, I was being a little shitty there. But, I mean, like, I was giving her enough rope to hang herself with. And instead of taking the bait that way, she just kirked the fuck out on me, and then she blocked me and said, it's okay, I have all of the clips and evidence I need to prove that you're like, I don't remember what she said, to prove something. I don't remember. I didn't screenshot it and I'm blocked now. And what she's doing now, like, even more hilarious, right? So if we, like, this is what's even better. Like, I'll just show you some other shit. Like, Where is it? Hold on. Why the fuck is it? Where's my page? We're alive. Keynesians retweet. Hold on. Okay, yeah. So if we go to my Twitter page now, right? What you will see. Where is it at? Where did it go? Is it under here maybe? Oh no, it's disappeared. Okay. So what she had done before, right, is that she had unblocked me and was commenting with where is it? She was commenting with, I think it was this guy. I could be wrong. Maybe it's here. Yeah, here it is. So here she is with Captain Bizarre, and there was another comment hidden as well. She unblocks me to comment on the post and then block me again, and like it's gone, but she did it again. Like she unblocked me, commented, blocked me, and then is on another account looking at it and then commenting, blocking me, commenting, so that I can't see her unless I use a sock account. And like I don't give a fuck enough to like look to see what she's saying. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm assuming she's saying that I'm some type of communist or something as an anarcho-capitalist, because the response is Karlyn is especially good at triggering libertarians pretending commies to expose themselves. So I'm exposing myself. Oh, and here's the second one. I'm exposing myself as a communist apparently or something. I don't know. I don't really give a fuck about like the weird petty shit she's doing at me currently.
Yeah, to be honest, I think I figured out what's going on here.
What's going on?
This can all be very simply and quickly brushed away if you just take into account the fact that she's an Aries.
Fucking, that's what you came up with? Oh my God, I fucking hate you. Yeah, I meant to her, you aren't fawning. Oh, okay, yeah. Hunter sucks, absolutely. Psycho bitch alert. Oh, Jesus. Can we get rid of that? Just because, I mean, like, the entire stream is already dedicated to attacking this person. Gendered language, TOS, Twitch, etc. Probably not the best thing to say, right? I want to keep the insults to her behavior. Does she seem toxic as fuck? Does she seem like she has some narcissistic tendencies and that might be what's going on? Absolutely, but you know, whatever. But anyways, here we'll continue.
This is copium to the next level. Is this Karlyn Borysenko?
Oh, someone doesn't know the title of my book, does he?
The title of your what?
Why are you still streaming about us 3 days later, Hunter? Did we really break you that badly that you're still thinking about how bad Alex spanked you 3 days later?
You realize the reason I was even talking about you losers was because Alex made a video just the other day coping about the debate.
That wasn't a cope, Hunter.
Then it's not
That
a cope
wasn't
for me
a
to
cope.
respond to it.
I mean, it is kind of when you're simply repeating the same lines that I used on you back, pretending that they're your lines. I mean,
Like
do
what?
you so desperately want to be me, Hunter, that you're mimicking me on your stream?
I mean, thank the spirit world that they didn't choose to make me you, because that would have been the ultimate curse. But
I'm not gonna lie, that's a fucking.
It's great the second time around too.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I might not like Hunter. I may think he's such a fucking lispy little fucking piece of shit that can't debate for fucking nothing. But fuck if that isn't a good ass line. Credit where credit's due, Hunter. That's fucking hilarious. I'm gonna go back
onto it.
I mean, it is kind of when you're simply repeating the same lines that I used on you.
She sounds like she does witchcraft. I don't know if she does witchcraft. I know that she like believes in crystals and as a psychic and and believes like free will doesn't exist, right? Which I don't know how you're a libertarian that doesn't believe in free will, because she believes that everyone chooses the entire path of their life before they're born as a soul. So ugh.
She's a Calvinist? Really interesting.
Yeah, she's a Calvinist without Christianity. It's like oh my God, what is that? There was a famous psychic in like the 90s that believed that. And I'm pretty sure that's where she got it from. I just can't remember her name.
I just love that nondescript cat is just like, Krillin has a book?
Pretending that they're your lines. I mean,
Like
do you
what?
so desperately want to be me, Hunter, that you're mimicking me on your stream?
I mean, thank the spirit world that they didn't choose to make me you, because that would have been the ultimate curse. But what are you even talking about right now? What line of yours did I use?
But doesn't he look like he's going to cry? That was the ripoff of me, Hunter. He didn't look like he was going to cry. You
Then I
were
would
the
like
one
to
who looked
formally
like you
apologize.
were going to
Can
cry.
I formally apologize, please? I am
No.
terribly sorry. I had no idea that you owned, you had it trademarked. That "Are you going to cry" was your line. My bad.
I like if you so clearly won, Hunter, then you wouldn't still be talking about it days later.
This is bullshit. I talk about stuff as much as I want to
People
talk about
who
it,
very
whether I win
clearly
or
win
whether I
things
lose. And
don't need to continue to talk about it days
you're throwing
later.
your own friend under the bus right now because Alex has been nonstop talking about it, even to the point of making a fake Twitter account to shit on me. So
Alex didn't make that Twitter account. I know exactly who made that Twitter account. Dude, look at the header image and then look at the accounts that account is following. It wasn't Alex. It wasn't me. We do know who it was, but it wasn't either of us.
Okay, regardless, what you're saying right now applies.
It's only has two followers, one of which is him, and it's only following 4 people, one of which is you and him, and you're like, oh, he didn't make that account. Okay, it's still your little fucking cabal of people coping.
Your Krillin gang.
Your Krillin gang.
Oh, it wasn't Alex. It wasn't me. We do know who it was, but it wasn't either of us.
Okay, regardless, what you're saying right now applies to your friend because he posted.
Yeah, I'm a super huge fan of the Mises Caucus. I'm a member of the Mises Caucus as well as a member of the LP. I'm card carrying member. Hold on, like fucking, like, you know, just in case my credentials are in fucking question here. There's my card with my name covered up. See if I can. If you can see that, it's hard to see. But member since January, February, March, April, May, June, July. July 1st, 2021. Okay? So this is last year, long before any of this shit. Okay, so if anyone wants to say like, oh, you only joined the LP after this and you hate her, yada, 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 or you just paid $12 or some shit in order to do that. No, I was a member of the Mises Caucus and the LP long before any of this bullshit. So nobody gets to say that like I don't have any fucking vested interest in what happens to the LP or the Mises Caucus. Long before people were getting excited about the Reno reset.
Yeah, we had it up on stream for a while, the Mises Caucus banner.
Right, before I knew anything about Karlyn Borysenko, other than like I knew about the Hitler comment and I knew she was the gubernatorial candidate for New Hampshire, but I didn't follow her in any capacity because like it wasn't my state. It wasn't that concerned. I don't remember if it was like $12. I don't remember exactly how much it was, to be honest with you. Like however long the year membership was, I had to buy 3 memberships. I think I had to buy one for the state, one for the national. And I bought them in like the same time. And then I had to get the Mises Caucus one. I'd say it was all under $100 though.
Oh, and thanks for the follow, Livy.
Oh yeah, appreciate that.
Posted several videos after our debate. And
also, before I knew anything about her, other than those 2 things, I interviewed Jeremy Kauffman. Like, so like no one can say that like I have some issue against LPNH either. I thought the fucking tweets and shit were based. I thought the way they did that was based. Because they were attacking the state and state actors, not fellow liberty movement people.
To be fair, we didn't know the Prague Caucus would dissolve at that point. It all kind of happened really quickly in that little situation.
Yeah.
What you're saying right now applies to your friend because he posted several videos after our debate, and then he had an hour-long stream talking about the debate, and then he just posted another video talking about the debate.
Because
if he won, why is he so obsessed with talking about it, Karlyn? If he won, why is he so obsessed with talking about it, Karlyn?
He's a small YouTuber that's really excited that he was on the channel of a larger YouTuber. I mean, I'd be pretty excited probably if I was in his shoes. But it is interesting though. Alex did mention to me, and I didn't watch the stream, but he did mention to me that he did a whole stream about you the other night, and you didn't choose to show that.
Yes, I did.
Why didn't you choose to show that?
I
no,
did.
You didn't. You didn't.
No, the Liberty Movement doesn't have a card, but but there is a card-carrying member of the Libertarian Party, which I am and have been for over a year.
That he did a whole stream about you the other night, and you didn't choose to show that.
Yes, I did.
Why didn't you choose to show that?
I
no,
did.
You didn't. You didn't. You chose to show one of his shorter videos.
I went over I went over his stream as well. You can go look at the VOD if you'd like. I went over that stream as well, and I wasn't going to sit there and watch an hour-long video of somebody coping.
Regardless,
but what I
Hunter,
did do is I went through his video and I found what he said about me, and then I talked about it.
If you so clearly beat him, you wouldn't still be talking about it days later. You wouldn't need to take a victory lap on a small little YouTube.
Okay, Karlyn, I don't know why you do this, and like. So are you saying that you're coping when you do videos about Carrie Smith and Kieran White? Are you saying you're coping when you do videos about Mike Harlow? Like, bitch, okay, let me not say that, but Let me be a little bit more respectful. Dude, you say this shit all the time against you. Like, you attack these people all the time. It's like 40, 50 fucking videos attacking Carrie Smith on your page. She has 0 on her page attacking you. Other than the occasional tweet where she gets fucking frustrated because, I don't know, someone from your community posted fucking images from her husband's Instagram account and, you know, shows the remodeling of their home so that everyone can know what their house looks like just in case. And then you laugh about it instead of like calling out that behavior in your community. I don't know.
YouTube channel that was just 500 subs, just a daily blog about his life. You wouldn't need to keep hammering on it days later.
Does this not apply to Alex?
Where's my
No,
Brandon
he doesn't. He's in a
Straka?
completely different position than you. He's in a
If
completely
you're
different
saying
position.
I
You have over
lost
half
the
a million
quote-unquote
subs
debate
on your channel.
because
He has 500 on his. He is allowed to be excited about going on a larger channel and debating for the first time and having what most of us consider to be a really successful result with that debate, since you were so obvious.
Hosier, she was associated with Walkaway, and then she got kicked out of Walkaway for being toxic. Then she was associated with PragerU, and then she got kicked out of PragerU for being toxic. Now she's in the LP, and the Mises Caucus has given her one of the most prestigious candidacies you can possibly have in the LP. They gave that to her after the Hitler went to heaven comment shit too, for the record.
Maybe I missed you answering this, but why do you think LPNH stands by her?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I DM'd them and gave them an opportunity. You know, I've interviewed Jeremy Kauffman, and Eric Sawyer, both of the people that run the LPNH Twitter account, right? I've DM'd them both, and hold on, let me move this over here so you can see. I've DM'd them both, and they've left me on red. I said, hey, what did I say? I said, Brian McWilliams was injured and may or may not be on tonight due to his injury. But if you guys want to comment or be present tonight, I figured I'd at the very least invite you. I'm not one for burning bridges, but this is a serious issue that the LP has to talk about. And then I shared the tweet. And, you know, the other thing was them retweeting our interview and thumbsing up in conversation. So I don't want to go too far. I'm not trying to, like, you know, show everything, but like, we had a very friendly conversation and everything, an interview before that. They left it on red. I don't know if it's because they don't want to invite drama. I don't know if it's because they legitimately stand by her. I don't know if it's because they're friends. I don't know if it's just, you know, they're like, oh, let's you know, keep this quiet and it won't be a problem. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not them, and they didn't comment. So they refused to comment or, you know, didn't DM me or anything. So I reached out to them before I did the stream, and they don't have anything to say. So, you know, we're moving forward.
Is that true, Northco? They needed a name, any name, to run for governor for Jeremy. She was nominated in jest, and they ran with it.
Yeah, I still don't know how that happened. She just got voted in, supposedly. And no one from FSP has like told us why. We've got people in like FSP Discords and shit like that trying to figure out like how she became governor. Nothing.
Jesus, oh God. That's how they chose to pick the fucking gubernatorial candidate for the flagship state for the Liberty Movement. The shining jewel for the Mises Caucus is New Hampshire, and that's how they chose to put up this year's gubernatorial candidate. The most important one to do. The one immediately after taking over the entire party.
This is after her Hitler went to heaven stuff, for the record. Right? So it's not like they didn't know that she was like a controversial person with issues. But let's, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm sorry, I don't know who Ian Freeman is. I'm not actually that familiar with Libertarian Party politics. She wasn't supposed to campaign, she was supposed to lay low and said she didn't want to be governor. Interesting. I'm learning so much tonight. This is interesting.
Some random person joined our server and said that they were like setting up a debate tournament.
Why did they not pick some young activist with no negative background and decent charisma? Well, apparently as libertarians, we got to pick the hardest way possible on everything we do.
Yeah, I don't know why they would do that. I don't understand it, but like, we're going to keep going. So let's fucking keep going.
Triggered at the end.
So
Even more triggered
you
than by
realize that
John Doyle. What made Alex so successful on your channel is that he triggered you worse than John Doyle did.
Okay, that's very cute that you think that. But again, you have lots of delusional fantasies, so I'm not surprised that you also think that. The problem is that you're literally...
God damn. Yo, Hunter really is taking her to task. Jesus Christ.
Not applying standards to Alex the same way that you're applying standards to me. I don't care if he has 1 subscriber.
People are
I don't care if he
different.
has 100,000
Different
subscribers.
people are different. They have different
I know
standards.
people are
I'm allowed
different.
to
Thank
use
God I'm
whatever
different from
standards
you,
I
but please
want.
let me finish speaking. So
I know people are different. Thank God I'm different from you.
You're saying that you don't apply standards equally either.
no, what I'm saying is that if you're going to that's not what I'm saying,
privilege
Karlyn.
that
Shut the
is.
fuck up.
She just goes, she hears the word no and goes, exactly. Like, this is, I don't want to psychologize somebody like too much, but like, this is such narcissistic behavior. Is that like, you're not listening to the person, they say a word, and then you attack on that word to gaslight what it is that they're saying, to try and manipulate what they're saying, instead of like engaging, like, you're not straw manning them, right? Straw manning is just a bad faith debate tactic, right? Like, she's much worse than this. She's engaging in narcissistic behavior. I'm not saying she's a narcissist. I'm just saying she's being fucking, just, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she had a high score on the dark triad or anything. But what I'm saying is that she's immediately gaslighting what he's saying to try and convince the audience that he said something that he didn't say in the moment. And she does it instantaneously, which means it's a habit for her. And that's a giant red flag.
What I'm saying is that you claiming that because I
Also,
talked about this multiple...
She's got to go up against someone who's like very familiar with like this exact kind of behavior and doesn't have to tolerate and is like just as aggressive as they'll be.
Right.
So not a great matchup for her.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, like, Hunter Avallone, you know, say what you want. He's been in the debate bro culture long enough to where people do that. You get a certain quickness that like just happens, right? Like when you see this bullshit, when you're in like a debate bro kind of area. Karlyn is not a debate bro. She's not good at debating. Like, but that's not like because she's a right. I mean, like, she has some tendencies, some narcissistic tendencies, obviously, but she's a video essayist and live stream individual, and like, you know, does a lot of interviews, and, you know, has an academic background. So she's got the knowledge back there, right? And she's got the experience being on camera and stuff, but she doesn't have experience like wrestling ideas with somebody back and forth in like a vigorous and quick manner. But what she does have is, you know, habits of narcissistic behavior that she displays regularly.
Exactly.
That's not what I'm saying,
privilege
Karlyn.
that
Shut the
is.
fuck up. What I'm saying is that you claiming that because I talked about this multiple times means I'm coping, applies to me, means I'm coping, but doesn't apply to Alex, even though he's talked about this 10 times more, and the only reason I've still been talking about it is because Alex won't shut up about it.
Alex is allowed to talk about whatever he wants.
So am I.
Do you typically take your talking points from other people?
I'm
You
allowed
are
to talk about whatever I want to.
Right, like, he can talk about whatever he wants to talk about. The reason you're talking about it is cope. Like this is like, what is this leftist philosophy bullshit where you can just have these contradictions and play on whichever contradiction you want, like in the time. Like, you can tell when she's under pressure and she's not just spitting out libertarian talking points. It's all leftist fucking philosophy. I can hear those philosophers speaking through her because she's completely okay with the contradictions existing and comfortable using them.
I feel vindicated for my comments during her previous debate.
Alex is allowed to talk about whatever he wants.
So am I.
Do you typically take your talking points from other people?
I'm
You
allowed
are
to talk about whatever I want to.
Please, Hunter, please continue to talk about Alex and I every single day on your stream. Please. We might, you know, Alex and I are seriously right now considering about dedicating an entire season of Sassy Saturday to you and just re-watching all of your glorious debates
So
with
doesn't
all
that mean
these
that
other
you're coping?
influencers.
So you're coping then?
No, it means that we're having fun with a stream on
Well,
the
maybe I'm
internet.
just having
and you
fun making fun
provide
of somebody
such
coping about
excellent
their debate with me.
You're allowed to do that. I really hope you do.
Wait, you're saying
really
I'm
hope
coping
you
when I do
continue
that.
to talk about us every single
You
day.
can't even keep your own dementia straight right
Please.
now. Can you please let me explain this? If you're saying that
There's
because
nothing
I'm...
to explain.
Shh,
I'm
be
saying
quiet.
that
Hush.
I really,
The spirit realm
really,
silences
I'm
you.
not your little woman, honey.
The spirit realm has
I'm
silenced you,
saying that
Karlyn.
I genuinely and
For the record, he keeps saying spirit realm because she was talking about like the spirit realm where souls chose what it is that they wanted to do and shit.
really hope that you continue to talk about us, especially
If
Alex.
you are
the little
talking about
500
me
sub
so
YouTube
much, then
channel.
doesn't that mean that you're coping? Why is it me coping when I talk about you guys, but not you coping when you talk about me? Could you explain that, please?
Because one of us got clearly spanked in that debate, and one of us was, too busy to even bother coming on your stream to watch Alex spank you clearly in that debate.
Okay, so because you subjectively believe that Alex won the debate, he's justified in talking about it nonstop?
Yes.
Okay,
he has a
cool.
500
So
sub
then you
channel
have
with
to
less than 100 followers.
Hold on.
Or actually,
I don't care.
He just broke 100 followers on Twitter.
I don't care. I don't
Jesus
care if
Christ,
somebody
have
has
some
one follower
dignity
or
and
1,000
victory.
followers or 1 million followers. If they have an opinion about me, then they are free to express that, and I'm going to treat them just like everybody else who comes onto the channel. So what you're saying right now is you're applying
I'm welcoming
arbitrary
that. I think
standards.
it's hilarious and really entertaining that you're continuing to talk about it days after it happened.
Why was
Hunter.
I? Wait,
think it's
I actually want to walk you through
Please
this.
give us
Why was I
enough fodder
talking
for
about
another
it?
2 a.m.
Why was I
stream.
talking?
Now she's just stuck and is trying to make it like a funny joke because she realizes that her point doesn't make any sense, and so she's just she's just repeating the point as if it's like if she says it long enough, it will magically become the truth, and that works when you're talking to your friends and you're gaslighting people and you're gaslighting your audience that doesn't have the same power. It doesn't work when you're talking to a debate bro, because they're going to make you look like an idiot. Because debate bros, even like, I'm not a big Hunter Avallone fan. Trust, don't like the kid. He's fucking banned me just because I called him this little fucker a grifter, right? But he has a skill set that she clearly lacks, and what she's normally does to other people in her audience is not fucking working right now.
Going to talk about it days after it happened.
Why was
Hunter.
I? Wait, I actually want to walk you through
Please
this.
give us
Why
enough
was I
fodder
talking
for
about
another
it?
2 a.m.
Why was I
stream
talking about
tomorrow
it?
night? It would be great.
Hey, why was I talking about it today?
Because you got pissed off that a random person who is not either Alex or I on the internet made a stalker account about you with funny memes that he.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird shit with Twitch and stuff like that. For example, right now, we weren't allowed to go above 30 because of bandwidth. Then they gave us the bandwidth to go to 36, and it kept dropping like 6 to 10 views at a time. Then we weren't allowed to go above 40, and then we got to 47, and it instantly went to 37. So Twitch plays a lot of games with bandwidth with smaller channels too. There's a lot of fucky shit with Twitch. So, just try and follow the rules, do the best you can, and make sure that you join our Discord server. and you can have a lot better, more free speech orientated questions. But of course, Discord is not a free speech platform either.
Why was I talking about
tomorrow
it?
night? It would be great.
Hey, why was I talking about it today?
Because you got pissed off that a random person who is not either Alex or I on the internet made a stalker account about you with funny memes that he made to articulate how he perceived your performance in that debate. Because you're aggravated by that.
Wait,
that's why you're talking.
Did you
about
actually
it.
watch
It was a
anything?
meme
You realize it
account,
wasn't just about the Twitter,
a meme
right?
account with 4 followers.
Karlyn, you're a meme, all right? So shut up. How does it make
Oh.
sense that I am talking?
God damn.
I mean, she is.
She's the fucking Hitler is in heaven meme.
Account with 4 followers.
Karlyn, you're a meme, all right? So shut up. How does it make
Oh.
sense that I am talking about a Twitter account? Did you realize that I wasn't just talking about the Twitter account? Surely you also
I
know
did.
that I was responding to a video that Alex made about me, right?
I did see that.
So
and
he
you
instigated.
looked very
He instigated
upset.
it. He instigated it.
He does a daily vlog. This is the content that he does on his channel, Hunter.
Wait, he instigated
That's
it though.
what he does.
Yes, and this is the content I do on my channel.
He didn't instigate it. He did not instigate it at all. We did Sassy Saturday. It could have just been left alone like every other Sassy Saturday. You came onto our Sassy Saturday stream and you instigated all of
Yes,
this. You were the
I asked
one
him
that
if he wants to
invited
talk.
Alex on your
Yeah.
channel after coming onto
Sure,
our Sassy
that's not the
Saturday
instigation,
stream
though,
because
because
you were
you're saying
upset that we were pointing out that you very clearly got bent over and fucked by.
Why are we watching Hunter Avallone? He's a douche because we're doing the whole fucking saga first. All right. I gave her a charitable debate, and then I'm giving her a debate where she's, actually challenged on her ideas.
Demolished.
Right. And you can see the difference between the two. You can see her great way of articulating libertarian talking points without any grounding in philosophy and without even using the language of libertarian philosophy. I think if you put a counter during her Porcfest debate on how many times she said the state, it would reach 0. Not once did she. I mean, maybe I missed one here or there because it was so low and I wasn't like actually doing a counter. So like maybe we can go back and find it. But I'm pretty sure she never did. Maybe she did once or twice. I apologize if I'm wrong here, but She doesn't use language. She doesn't use philosophy. She doesn't speak like a libertarian. You can tell she's not read Rothbard and Hoppe. You can tell that she's never even touched the idea of argumentation ethics. You can tell that she doesn't read Dr. Walter Block. She spits out things like a pragmatist with a pragmatist philosophy, but just takes the positions that the Mises Caucus has. And when you put her in a position where she's cornered and she's challenged, she goes into the dialectic immediately. She goes into like rules for thee and not for me. She goes into like power dynamics and distribution, and it's okay because he's got more subscribers and this person has less subscribers. It is nothing but left-wing philosophy that is motivating this person. It is very clear that her philosophy is still deeply grounded in consequentialist and leftist philosophy. And to me, it seems like I don't know how you have that and combine this super anti-woke thing and be passionate about it. Maybe she is passionate about it going too far, but to me, it breathes. She can talk all she wants about how the woke shit is bad, but when you listen to her when she's challenged and you understand philosophy, she's not speaking right now. Hegel is speaking. Marx is speaking. That's who's speaking through her right now. And she doesn't know it because she's engaged in this in a bubble where everything that she talks about and talks to, she's allowed to gaslight people and she's allowed to have shallow opinions, and then she just bans immediately anybody who challenges her.
Sure, that's not the instigation, though, because you're saying
that we were pointing out that you very clearly got bent over and fucked by John Doyle.
Karlyn, I'm sorry, but I wouldn't trust you to tell me what color the sky was. Like, you are insane. You're out of your head. Okay. So it's not very clearly anything. The only thing that's very clear is that you have clinical insanity. The problem here is that I'm not talking about instigating the initial debate. You said that I was coping because I so obviously lost the debate after the debate, obviously. So how then is it fair that Alex is not coping when he's the one instigating further? I'm not talking about who instigated the initial debate. Yeah, of course I instigated the initial debate. Absolutely.
Hunter,
but he instigated by making the video.
What computer carnage? Relax.
About me. If he's coping, or you're coping, or he's coping, or you're coping, I just think that you should be responsible for. Oh no, it just makes no difference to me at all. I think this whole conversation about like who's coping is ridiculous.
You started this conversation. This is how I know you're fucking dumb.
Your behavior.
You're so stupid. Oh my god.
Your behavior is not dictated.
I mean, to be fair, like he started and she came in because he was talking about him making a video coping.
By Alex's.
All right, I got a water. Water right here.
I don't really care what Alex does.
Okay, wait. You're saying because I talked about it, you're retreating already, and it's embarrassing as fuck. You're saying because I talked about this thing multiple times after the debate that I am coping. When I asked you why that doesn't apply to Alex, you said because he has a smaller channel.
Obviously coping with the fact that you got spanked by someone.
You can keep saying whatever you'd like, and I'm fine for you to think that. I don't care at all. The fact that you're constantly fantasizing about me getting spanked, we'll just let the audience decide if that's weird or not.
I'm not the one.
The fact of the matter is,
Hunter, you're the one who seems to be obsessed with Alex.
Wait. Why are you not getting this through your head? Either you're purposely being obtuse here, or you're actually clinically insane. Did Alex talk about me after the debate? First?
I mean, did those memes that account made, did they hit a little bit too close to home for you? Is that really what's going on?
Yeah, this. Listen to this, right? He asks a question, she pivots from the question, and then she tries to gaslight him, right?
What are the 5 Ds of playing Karlyn Borysenko? Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
Yes, Twitch is a lot of fucking drama. We have done maybe 5 videos on drama in our entire Twitch career, and this is not about Twitch drama. This is not about Twitch drama. Let me be clear. This is about an LP
Libertarian Party drama.
This is about someone who is abusive, toxic, harmful, and has many narcissistic and damaging characteristics being given the flagship gubernatorial candidacy for the Libertarian Party, and the fact that libertarians have to speak out against this. Okay, she is able to get away with being this fucking toxic because Deb Thillman is an objectivist libertarian that sits outside of the Libertarian Party and isn't technically a card-carrying member. She's able to do this to Carrie Smith because Unwoke or whatever, I can't remember, fucking podcasts or whatever, right? That she's essentially a right winger. She's able to do this to fucking Kieran White because he doesn't have that much power, but also because he's not a libertarian. She's able to do this to Mike Harlow for the exact same reason. She's able to take all of the people that sit on the periphery of the liberty movement, people that we should be trying to pull in and whose audiences we should be trying to pull in and engage with philosophically and engage with the ideas and bring them into a libertarian philosophy to galvanize the libertarian vote because they're fellow liberty movers that have decided to shack up either independently or with the Republicans. These people that are like as paleo-lib or as fucking, or when Deb Tillman's case, she's a fucking libertarian, right? She's just not a card-carrying member. She's able to do that and engage in this harassment and doxing and all this shit because of those people. So it's high time that people, I don't have a ton of clout, but I'm the biggest fucking libertarian in Twitch politics. And so it's fucking high time that people that are card carrying members of the Libertarian Party, people that are well, I'm not card carrying because I didn't get a card, but who is a member of the Mises caucus, right? And did so before I didn't know about any of this shit, right? Speak up about this from within the party and from within content creators in the party and say this shit's not okay. Now let's watch her get dunked on some more and watch her corner around like a fucking narcissistic leftist.
It wasn't the first time that I thought he had talked about me. You realize that, right? You just accused me of not going.
Yeah, okay, yes. Technically Brand for Liberty is back, but like his streams are like 90% just him restreaming a bunch of protest streams. But yeah, I guess sometimes he's in Twitch politics. You're right. Brand for Liberty is bigger than me. He disappeared for a while because he got banned, and then he came back and was like smaller than me for like a while until he got his numbers back up. But like, yeah, now he averages like 30 viewers more than me. You're right. I apologize. But regardless, fucking the point still stands.
Over his stream VOD when I did.
How much time have you actually spent watching Alex's videos on his little 500 sub YouTube channel?
I'm trying really hard to get this through your head because I think that you're genuinely playing with bad faith because you're a dipshit.
I'm just really wondering
how
much time you
No.
Trust that instinct. Trust that instinct.
No, it's not that she's playing bad faith because she's a dipshit. It's because she's used to engaging with people like a narcissist does. And she's not used to actually going up against a debate bro that just instantly can challenge that shit because you're used to seeing bad faith and rhetoric positions. Or rhetorical, I should say.
Did you watch them more than once, Hunter? How often have you gone over them? Do you watch them on a daily basis, or is it just every once in a while?
How many times have you gone over my videos?
None, actually. I don't watch your channel at all.
Really? Then I thought that you went over multiple of my videos on your stream.
No, I went over the one that Alex was on because it was funny.
And you did the one that John Doyle was on and just talked about doing one every single week about me.
Oh, yeah, but that was Alex.
Like, and then he immediately calls her on her bullshit lie. I haven't watched none of yours, except for the one where I debated this one, and then the one that I talked to this one, and you just talked about how you should do more. Like, what are you talking about?
Bring that on my channel. I didn't pick out that video.
Okay, so this is why you're not making sense here.
Hunter.
You're
I
saying
watched
that
2 videos on your channel in which you got your ass spanked in a debate both times by a conservative.
Again, you keep on saying that.
Correct.
Sounds very creepy. But again, how is it me who is the one coping when it's Alex who is talking about me after the debate? He's instigating. If somebody says, here's my video on my debate with Hunter Avallone, and then I watch it on my channel and react to it, that's not me coping. He's the one who initially posted the cope.
I think that you should keep making videos about us. Alex should keep making videos about you. I'll bring Alex on my channel. We'll do a reaction stream to the stream that you're going to do about Alex. This could be like a
Yes, the person speaking is not Hunter Avallone, is LP candidate for governor of the state of New Hampshire, the Free State Project.
cow for all of us, Hunter. Well, we
You can see your name up in the title up in the top left corner.
Yeah, and it's not going to it's going to get much worse than this. This is just the intro, boys. We're just looking at how she debates when she's not challenged and how she says the positions very well and how she engages like a narcissistic leftist when she's challenged a little bit.
Well, yeah, maybe if you have a grifter mindset like you, but I mean, for me, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to know why you think that it applies to me, that I'm the one coping.
But you are doing that. You are literally doing that.
I don't know why you
are
think
literally doing that right now.
I don't know why you think.
You could stop any time. You're still talking about us right now.
Are you kidding me right now? You're on the call. What do you say? You are so fucking dumb. You're obviously being bad faith, trying to get me mad because you think that that somehow makes you win, because you're a juvenile dumb fuck. So let's back up again. I am going to literally hold you to this point. No, hey,
it's really impressive, actually. I've literally explained to you how not to get triggered,
to
ignore my advice.
The spirits.
I think she might not have been kidding in that tweet you keep pulling up.
Psychological fuckery is a virtue?
Is a virtue in the LP, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if she's kidding or not. Was Hunter grifting as a conservative or a lefty? It's hard to tell. I'm not sure which is the grift. I just know that like it's very weird for someone to go from the right to the left. It's very uncommon. Yeah, I'll just say that.
I know Randy Kraft did.
I also know it's really weird when someone is against the woke and then embraces the woke. It's like, how did you forget all of that shit?
On how not to get triggered, and then you get triggered.
This isn't me getting triggered. This is me getting
Computer Carnage, she's already in. We can't primary her out.
Annoyed by somebody who's obviously dumb.
How not to get triggered. You know how this works, Hunter.
Karlyn,
if you
it's not
understand
about
how
who gets
psychological
frustrated.
works, you can avoid getting triggered.
It's
Maybe
not about
this is
who
a
gets
lesson that you
frustrated,
will learn
Karlyn.
someday. I really hope
Karlyn,
you do.
it's not about who gets
explained
Karlyn, it's not
on
about who gets
multiple
frustrated.
occasions.
I'm fully justified in getting
It is
frustrated with
actually
your
about who gets
dumbass
frustrated.
lying nonstop. When you come
It
on
is
here,
about
I'm
who
gonna hold
gets
you. I'm gonna
frustrated.
literally,
Hunter,
hey,
what
I'm
do
gonna
you
hold
think
you to this
getting
until
triggered is? What do you
I'm going to
think
hold you
getting
to what you
triggered
said here. Okay.
And she just keeps going, oh, and she just keeps gish galloping and talking over him and calling him triggered so that she can claim victory. It's just gaslighting over and over again.
Why is it that I am the one who is coping when I respond to somebody posting a video about me, but it's not coping for them to initially post the video about me? Please.
Because you were the one who started this by coming on our stream in the first place.
So if somebody comes on to debate me and then they leave and then they make 5 videos about me, and if I respond to any of them, that's me getting triggered? That's me getting That's copium?
I'm talking about Sassy Saturday. You are the one who lost your shit over a ridiculous weekend stream where we were just screwing around.
You're trying to make it
and
sound more
and
more
a
like...
week and a half later, it's still going, Hunter.
Karlyn, you realize that if I wanted, I could turn this around on you and say you're actually the one that started it because you have over 100,000 subs and you were watching my content. So yeah, if somebody's watching my debate, talking shit, and I wanted you to come on originally and you wouldn't because you were too scared. So again,
I wasn't scared. It was a waste of my time, and I was doing something else during that time. So I had another stream with the psychic.
Yeah, she says it's a waste of her time to debate all the time. It's no, she's just really bad at debating.
On here now and do your bullshit, but hold on.
Well, you know,
when you are reacting to one of my videos and you're talking shit, I am fully justified in saying, hey, why don't we talk about this? You can say whatever you want, but you keep on like adding hyperbole here to, again, I don't think you're intentionally like gaslighting, but I do think that you're...
No, she's intentionally gaslighting. Actually, it's probably just a force of habit for her at this point.
Trying very hard to make this sound worse than it is. You're saying I was in your chat so mad. I was cracking jokes about you not having a dad, and I said that Alex should really join the Discord sometime since you didn't want to. I was not...
God damn. God damn, Honor.
When they're seething or freaking out or whatever, I was just commenting on, hey, you're watching my content, so why don't you actually talk to me about this?
Why would she talk to Hunter and not you? Because she's afraid to talk to a real libertarian, probably, number one. Number two, because she's under the impression that I'm way, way smaller than Hunter, which is true.
Second of all,
Hunter, did
why
you like
is
the
it me
thumbnail I made
coping?
of you where you were literally seething in the thumbnail? Did you like that thumbnail that I made
Why
where
is
you were
it-
literally seething?
Why is it me coping when I respond to somebody making a video about me, but not them coping to make the video about me?
It doesn't matter, Hunter.
You're the one that
Other people
initially...
see-
Now it doesn't matter, right? So now that he's nailed her down over and over again, like now it just doesn't matter, which is, for the record, coping.
Said it did, so now you need
matter.
to... Wait,
what we're talking about
you
right
said
now
it
is
did.
your behavior.
So you're walking back what you said
continuing
earlier?
to whine and complain.
Are you
No,
walking
I'm
back
not
what you said
walking
earlier?
back anything. I'm holding you responsible
No,
for
you
your
said
behavior,
originally that
which is
I was the one
continuing
coping.
to-
and-
I'm not walking back anything. I'm holding you, right? It's just gaslighting over and over and over again. This is such toxic behavior. And we're going to show... We're going to show like how she does this over and over again to other people.
Whine and complain about a stream in which you clearly lost a debate a week after the fact.
Karlyn,
you lost, Hunter.
You're rambling.
Alex made you look
You're rambling
exactly
right
like
now.
the leftist that you are.
You're rambling right now.
Lost.
You're not making... Maybe you need like an extra visit with your fucking psychic
Wow.
because you're not making any sense right now.
I'm going to have one in about
I love this from Honor. I'm not going to lie.
I'm really enjoying this part, to be honest.
That's great. Well, hopefully the psychic can help you understand what the fuck is wrong with your head. But before that happens, I want you to answer this question. You said that because I had a big channel and Alex had a little channel, that somehow means I'm the one coping. Why is it me who is coping by responding to a video that was made about me?
That's the very definition of punching down. That is the very definition of punching down.
So do you think... Okay.
But she has a bigger channel than Hunter, though.
Question then. Hold on.
RW, do you have anything to say about her being upset about him punching down?
Right, Casimir? He's openly a leftist.
Oh, wait. Do you think that I...
Because she's not engaging. What she's doing is she's trying to gaslight her own audience. Karlyn is clearly the heel here.
Shouldn't talk to somebody or engage with their opinions if they have a smaller channel?
I think you can do it in a way in which you aren't obviously coping with the fact that the person with the 500 sub channel spanked you in a debate.
So
That's
how
what
do you
this
think
is.
that I do
You're
this? How do you think I go about
upset
doing
because
that?
You were made to look like a leftist idiot when you went
You
off
keep
on
on
him
saying
in that
this
debate
and like it's
when
funny
he had
because I'm not a
done
leftist
anything
and you're
to
just
you.
revealing
He
your
had
own
not
ignorance. But
insulted
again,
you
like...
at all. He had not made any personal attacks
Should I hang up on
at
you
all.
because you have a
And
smaller
then-
channel? Am I punching
I
down
mean,
right now?
well,
You're also
last time I was on your
retarded, so
channel,
there's
you
that
hung up
too.
on
Maybe
me
I'm
when I
punching
was-
down on a
when I was
mentally
winning.
disabled
What didn't
person?
you?
Do you think I'm punching
I
down on
mean,
a mentally disabled person right now? That could
Well,
be
you
a case.
did hang up on me the last time I was on your channel when I was clearly beating you then, and you couldn't take it then, and
Yes,
so you
this is
hung
what
up on me to
cognitive
end the
dissonance looks like, caught in
conversation,
4K
and then
1080p.
begged me to come back on your channel. Well, wish granted, Hunter. I'm back for the moment.
But yet you're still unable to answer any of the
Right, that is true. Deb Philman and Kieran White are both smaller, and so is Mike Harlow at this point, I would say. So like the only person that's like legitimately closer is Carrie Smith. So like she punches down on all of these people.
We both know what happens.
So do
when
you think
get
that I
upset
shouldn't punch
that
down
you're
on it?
losing.
Wait. Do you think I shouldn't respond to anything anyone says if they have smaller follower count than me?
I think you can be judicious about how you respond. You responded, he responded. Move on with life, Hunter. There are other things to do.
So it's
but unless
me
you're obsessed with
coping
Alex,
to the new
for
video that he
reasons
made.
that I think we
I
can
should have just
discuss.
ignored that. Wait, I don't understand. So because he has less subs, I should just not take his opinion as seriously?
What part of the LP? The LPNH, and apparently everyone at the LP National doesn't seem to have a problem with her.
Which is really, really confusing.
Yeah, really confusing because you have like a toxic fucking leftist that acts like a narcissist and just fucking randomly says shit. Like, ugh, ooh.
Take whatever you want seriously, Hunter, but it's not a good look to continue to talk about this.
Yeah, Carrie, Deb, I was just saying because Carrie has like 35,000 fucking Twitter followers, right? Like she's not like small on Twitter, to be fair.
A week and a half. You can take whatever you want seriously, Hunter, but it's not a good look to continue to talk about this a week and a half after it happened.
But he's
It's
the one
just
that
not a
made the
good look,
video
dude.
that I was talking about.
He's allowed to do whatever he wants. I'm saying
Why am I
for
not allowed to
you,
do whatever I
it is
want?
not- you're the one with the 500,000 sub channel.
So
You
because
can
I have
do
more
whatever you
subs,
want.
I cannot do whatever I want, including
No,
responding to a channel that's smaller
free
than
to
me.
do whatever you want, but it's really, really, really not a good look. Do you have no other content that you can talk about? Are there no other
I've
issues
been
in the
doing more
world that you can
content this
tackle?
entire time. In fact, I was living a very blissful past couple hours because I forgot about you and your little minion. So thanks for
I don't
being
think
very
you
nice.
ever forget about us, Hunter. I think we live rent free in your head.
I mean, you're the
at
one that
least
keeps
for
on
the
talking
last
about me
week and a
getting
half, if
spanked.
not
It sounds like you
longer.
definitely have some kind of like a BDSM fetish with me in it. It's kind of creepy. But before we get off on another tangent, I'd like a little bit more clarity. Like, because I have 500K subs, I'm not a. What does that mean? Why can't I not respond to a video that somebody made about me just the other day?
Like I said, Hunter, you can do whatever you want to do. I think it's a bad look. I think it's a shame, and I think it just
Why is it not a bad
overtly
look when
illustrates
Alex does
that
it?
Alex.
I mean, real talk though, someone with 500,000 subs reacting to someone with 500 subs is like enough to give that maybe like give that person a couple hundred subs. Like, you know what I mean? Like there are going to be people that are, when you have 500K YouTube subs, like you're going to have a lot of hate watchers and like people that are like, oh, I'll go follow this person. This person's interesting. Like it's actually a help to his fucking channel. It's not punching down. That's not how YouTube fucking engagement even works.
Like I said, Hunter, you can do whatever you want to do. I think it's a bad look. I think it's a shame, and I think it
Why
just
is it not a bad
overtly
look when
illustrates
Alex does
that
it?
Alex did win the debate.
Why is it not a bad look when
He
Alex
absolutely
does
won
it?
the debate, just like what he said on his channel. He knows he won. You know
Why
he
is it
won.
not a
Yeah, true. Did you see where Angela McArdle came into the parody? Yeah, and demanded people stop tagging her in hate tweets. It's like, yeah, I mean, they're hate tweets, but it's like, do you not see the problem that there's a Twitter account with 2,000 followers and it's just dedicated to showing how crazy and toxic Karlyn Borysenko is? Like, Dave Smith doesn't have that. Spike Cohen doesn't have that. Jeremy Kaufman doesn't have that. They have parody accounts to make fun of them, but nowhere near the size of Karlyn Borysenko, and Karlyn Borysenko is nowhere near as big a figure as that. Angela McArdle doesn't have that. Do you think maybe it's because this is a toxic fucking person that says wild, crazy shit all the time that it gives her parody account fucking free fucking content to grow? I don't know. I mean, just food for thought, Angela. Like what? Like, come on. Like, you need to look into this.
I get we want to be edgy and stand out from the crowd, but like there is actually like too far.
I know he
Alex
won.
does it.
All your little
I've heard that from tons of people, Deb, and I'm sure it's because they don't fucking, because she's a fucking, God, I don't want to say it, but like she engages in gaslighting and narcissistic manipulative behavior all the time. Which means to the people around her that have power, she probably is really nice to them and treats them really well and manipulates anything, any information that says the contrary before it gets to them. As a matter of fact, I'm more willing to believe that Angela McArdle and Jeremy Kaufman are victims than I am active participants. Now, do they bear some responsibility because they're not doing their job and looking at this shit? Yes. But at the same time, I'm willing to believe that she's super nice to them and cool with them and they like it and she seems really insightful and people like mention some shit and it goes through a filter of her and then she like explains it with lies that like aren't going to be investigated. Just saying. I've dealt with legitimate narcissists before, and it takes a long time before you realize what's going on with their shit.
Thank you for the follow, at least.
Appreciate it.
That he won. He did an amazing job on your channel, and you know it was good practice for him. I'm really glad that you were able
if you say things over and over again, they become truer. I got it. I know.
I'm really, really glad. He did
So
such a perfect job, better than I ever hoped he would do.
Oh yeah, so great, so cute.
And,
wow.
you know,
Just
maybe
keep on saying the same thing over and over again. Say it again.
Well, that's your tactic, isn't it?
Could you say it again, please? Because if you, well, I'm just saying if you, well, yeah, if you say it again.
Thanks for the follows, guys.
If you say it again, it'll actually become true this time.
Over and over and over and over again.
If you say it again, it'll become true.
I'm just employing your tactics, Hunter.
Okay. I don't actually just say the same thing over and over again.
do.
What I do is I ask similar
You say the
I
same
ask
thing
the same
over and over
questions.
again, you
Hold on,
deflect, you
I ask
insult,
you
the same
you are
thing over and over
projecting
again,
so
you
hard right now.
change
It's
the
actually
topic.
hilarious to me. People who are watching my stream right now are seeing live 480 or wait, what? No, 4K 1080p. You literally swarming around, failing
It's not 4K 1080p at the same time, brother.
to stick
Also, respect Northco.
K 1080p. You literally swarming around, failing to stick
Do
to
you
a
think
single
the
topic
resolution of your
and
camera is somehow
deflecting.
impressive?
I mean, I appreciate it. Like I said, we're not going over everything. We're just going over this. But, you know, to all of those that are new that are thinking we're just going over a debate, no, we're going over this. We're going over the Hitler in heaven. Why I think this is old news and not as important as the other things. We're going to go over the Deb Philman. We're going to go with some of the Kieran White receipts on the GoFundMe, the walkaway thread Reddit, the gaslighting video. We're going to talk about, which I don't even think we need to do this anymore, to be honest. Statement from Deb, the supposed criminal report, the sexual harassment, more harassment, the passer harassment, and we're going to go over Casimir. I have a lot of other receipts, but, you know, never show your full hand, boys. Never show your full hand. You just watched a clip from our Twitch channel, Fabian Liberty. If you like content like this, please like and subscribe here on YouTube, or go ahead and give us a follow on twitch.tv/Fabian Liberty.